Envy, Yee, and Charlamagne.
Everybody that's anybody comes through the Breakfast Club.
You know, you give voice to people that would be voiceless.
Right now, your show has the pulse of the culture.
Yeah.
Everyone smells rich and successful.
Where y'all at now? Can't nobody tell y'all.
Non-stop entertainment. The Breakfast Club.
Wake your punk ass up.
This is your time to get it off your chest, whether you're mad or blessed.
So you better have the same energy.
We want to hear from you on the Breakfast Club.
Hello, who's this?
This is Duke. What up, Charlamagne? What up, DJ Envy?
What up, brother?
Peace, King.
How you doing, my brother? What up, Charlamagne?
Peace, King. How are you? I'm blessed, black, and highly favored. How you, brother?
Get it off your chest.
My brother, my first time on Breakfast Club, bro. I just want to get it off my chest, man. I just want to say, have a great 4th of July. Everybody be safe, and don't let the fireworks turn to gunplay.
Okay. Thank you, brother.
That's real.
Hello, who's this?
Hey, this is Curvin out of Houston.
What up, brother?
What's going on? Good morning, Angela Yee.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Good morning, DJ Envy.
Morning, brother.
Good morning, Charlamagne the God.
Peace, King. How you doing, black man?
I'm doing all right. I'm coming to celebrate my beautiful black queen.
All right, shout her out. What's her name?
I want to celebrate Isis Keller. Right here out of Houston, Texas, my beautiful black queen. You know, we're going to celebrate 10 years in July, and I just want to celebrate her and thank her for making me the happiest man alive.
Yes, I love to hear it. The happiest man alive. Okay.
Thank you, brother. Hey, get it off your chest.
Yeah, I ain't got nothing to get off my chest, really, man. I was just serious. I was watching Ride Along yesterday, and I swear I seen Charlamagne on there.
You did.
Conversation just like a cop.
I was in Ride Along playing a cop. People, had a nice little cameo. I walk out right before Ice Cube and Kevin Hart. They come behind me.
Yeah, I seen that. Okay, man. Hey, man, I like what y'all do, man. I listen to y'all every morning when I get off work, man. Keep it up.
Thank you, brother. Hello, who's this?
Yo, it's your boy Clutch coming from Dade County.
What's up, brother?
I want to give a beautiful shout out to my beautiful coworker that be camping. Ms. Johnson, her birthday coming up on the damn 18th. And to my beautiful future fiance, I'm going to propose to her ass on her birthday on the 17th.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
All right. Proud of you, man.
Is it a surprise? Because if it was...
No. She at work right now. She don't listen to a radio station because she'll get fired. But,
What if one of her friends or family members tells her?
They ain't going to do that shit. I got all their numbers on lock. I was told their ass. They ain't going to do that shit.
All right.
Stop cursing.
Yeah, you cursing a lot.
Oh, I apologize.
Have a good one. Hello, who's this?
Yo, it's Lee from Naptown.
Hey, what's up, brother? Get it off your chest.
Well, I want to get off my chest. Well, as I got a question. So I ended up buying a motorcycle, and it has some stuff that needs to be fixed.
I ain't giving you no money for your goddamn motorcycle. Don't even put your cash app out there for that. I see where it's going. No.
Listen. So, I'm kind of heated, like trying to keep my cool because, it was some money I was saving up for my birthday, and it was either vacation or get my bike fixed. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get my bike fixed. So apparently all the stuff that the dude said he didn't do all of it. So he got me out of like damn near $2,000. And I took it to a different mechanic, and he said, well, this piece is not new, this and this and this. So I'm just wondering, what do I do at this point?
Sue him.
Is there anything I can do?
Can't you sue him? Can't you get one of these? Don't they got attorneys that handle business like this?
Do you have a contract? When you signed it, is there what? Do you have some type of written anything?
I got invoices and stuff, but
okay.
I guess not really necessarily a contract.
If he promised you that he was going to do some work and he didn't do the work, I'm sure that there's some legal action to be taken.
Have you looked at the reviews for his company too to see what other people are saying?
Yeah. I didn't really see too much negativity because I'm normally a person kind of stickler about that. So I did some research, and it seemed legit.
Okay.
But so I took
and there's the Better Business Bureau too that you can also do a complaint there.
That's what it's called.
There you go.
Okay.
But I would let him know. I would be like, look, this is what you did not do. And I like to put things in writing. So I would call and I would send an email detailing what he did wrong, what should have been done, what wasn't done, and also let him know that you do plan to take action.
Good luck, brother. Get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, hit us up now. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club.
This
Power 105.1. The Breakfast Club. Envy, Angela Yee, and Charlamagne the God.
I'm dialing. Hey, what you doing, man? I'm dialing. I'm calling you.
This is your time to get it off your chest, whether you're mad or blessed. 800-585-1051. We want to hear from you on The Breakfast Club.
Hello, who's this?
Yo, that's Dominique from Duval.
Dominique from Duval.
Duval.
What's up, brother?
Good morning. Y'all want to get off my chest, give a shout out to my wife, man. She be busting her ass all week long cooking, man. Oh, y'all follow her on Instagram at the DA_PrettyBrown_chef.
Okay. All right.
Why she busting her ass cooking this week?
You know, she's a personal chef, private chef.
Okay. Most correct. Congrats to her, man.
Appreciate it. Y'all have a good morning.
All right, brother. Hello, who's this?
Hey, good morning. This is Clay calling from North Carolina.
Clay, good morning. Get it off your chest.
Yes, I would really like to thank y'all. Well, first of all, I'd like to say good morning, DJ Envy. Good morning, Charlamagne the God, and good morning, Miss Yee.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Peace, my guy. How are you?
I'm doing great, blessed and highly favored. But
there you go.
I would like to say thank you to you guys, because you guys don't really know the impact of what you guys say and on the way people listen to you. Because I just recently bought a house here, and every morning I used to listen to you guys. And when DJ Envy used to talk about buying a house, I used to listen. I used to tell everybody in the car, shut up. I need to hear this and everything. And I never took one of your classes, but I used to listen. And one thing that you used to say about that credit, you got to get that credit right, you know. And I recently bought a house back in October, and I'm so happy.
Well, congratulations, brother.
Congratulations,
That's
brother.
what we try to do, man. We try to encourage things that we learn outside in this world. We try to, make sure that we teach our people and try to explain to our people. We don't know all the answers all the time, but we just try to point people in the right direction, brother.
But you guys really got an impact. And Miss Yee, a lot of these young girls are really listening to y'all. You know what I'm saying? So just keep doing it, y'all. And me personally, I thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
brother.
We appreciate you.
Love, brother.
Now, shout to, July 31st, Caesar and I are doing a seminar in New York, the Jacob Javits Center, where we're going to be talking about real estate and breaking down, how to get into it, starting from credit repair. And we're actually going to do something special. We got a bunch of brothers coming through. I know the brothers from EYL will be stopping through, and we got credit repair, and we're going to be talking about hard money loans and conventional lenders. And also, I know the brothers from EYL are doing a Invest Fest again this year in Georgia. So if you can't make it out to the Jacob Javits Center July 31st, make sure you make it out there. And these are just, ways where you could learn the game, learn the business. I like what EYL is doing, because they're doing something similar to what we're doing, where we're not trying to charge people $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000. Because I always say, if you got that much money to spend on a course or a class, I'd rather you just buy the house. So we're really, both of us, just trying to teach our community how to do it, how to build generational wealth.
And InvestFest is August 5th through the 7th in Atlanta. I'm actually going to be there.
Okay.
Be there as well. So salute to EYL.
So definitely get your tickets, Jacob Javits Center, July 31st, or you can, like I said, InvestFest in Atlanta. Get it off your chest, 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, hit us up, and you can hit me in my link in my bio, because I'm gonna be at InvestFest as well. So either or, you can check it out.
You a sneaky link?
What? Me and you?
That's how it sounded. You can hit me. I got my link in my bio.
You gonna be with me? So what do you mean sneaky link?
You little sneaky link.
Yo, shut up, man. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Get it off your chest.
The Breakfast Club. Power 105.1. The Breakfast Club. Your mornings will never be the same.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
Yes, indeed.
From Bel Air, we have Jabari Banks. Welcome.
Yeah, what's going on?
How you feeling, my brother?
I'm great, man. How y'all?
Man, blessed, black, and highly favored.
Yeah, exactly. Blessed to be here. Blessed to be with y'all. This is incredible.
That's right. Congrats on the success of Bel Air thus far.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Did you feel a lot of pressure having to play such an iconic role?
Yeah, definitely the pressure. But, many talks with Will, many talks with Morgan Cooper, our creator, and, they just reminded me to just be me, bring myself to the role and You know, it's exactly what Will was doing when he was being the Fresh Prince in the 90s, you know what I mean? He wasn't trying to be nobody else, so that's what I had to do.
How'd you get into acting?
I got into acting in high school, and I sort of, was just like dollying around, and then I went to college for it because my mom needed me to go to college, and I was like, I'll go to college for acting, and then...
Where you from?
I'm from Philly, and I'm from Maryland. I grew up in both places.
Okay.
Yeah. And
West Philadelphia, born and raised?
Yeah. Actually, it's crazy because I lived in West Philly with my Uncle Phil.
Wow.
But his name is
Get
James.
The f- out
Swear to God.
Why stop? I don't believe it.
Listen. His name is James Brogan, right?
Yeah, okay.
But we called him Phil because he lived in Philly, and I lived with him for a long time, and so
that's why, because Uncle Phil's real name was
James Avery.
James Avery.
Yeah. So there's a lot of instances within the show, not just me, with everybody in the cast. You know what I mean? That kind of like intertwined them with the story. But yeah, I went to school in Philly at University of the Arts, and then I fell in love with it then.
So did you tell people that story? Like growing up being from Philly and having an uncle named Phil?
It didn't make sense. I mean, it didn't really register. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't really tripping off of it until everything clicked, and then it was like, oh wow, like every part of my life has sort of led up to this.
Wow.
You know?
Wow. Now you were a Fresh Prince fan, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, all right.
Now, according to the PhillyVoice.com, the director Morgan Cooper, he had a $25,000 budget to do a feature film teaser for Bel Air with different actors. So how did that turn into this is going to be a show?
Well, so basically, Morgan put the trailer out, just out of love and out of a pure place. You know what I mean? He was just like, I love the Fresh Prince. I want to see this. I want to tell the story that I want to tell, you know? And he took that and he put it on YouTube. And I think within the first day, Will's company, Westbrook, they hit him up and, they were like, we want to, talk with you and develop this thing. And I think a couple weeks after that, he was sitting with Will and he was talking about, where we want to take this story. And, years down the line, here we are.
Totally different tone, though.
Totally different tone.
What did you think when you saw that?
Yeah, break that down. Break down, if people haven't seen the show, the differences between what we seen as a kid, Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and Bel Air.
Yeah, well, Bel Air 2022 version is a dramatic retelling of the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, the quintessential 90s sitcom. And, it's all the characters that we know and love, but basically we get to dive deep into who they are and the actual stories that are going on in their lives. And, it's a modern day retelling of the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, basically. And when you think of the story, our showrunner TJ Brady, he said it perfectly. He was like, we all know the story of the Joker, you know what I mean? But when we see Joaquin Phoenix do what he was doing, it was like, did you really think about it? You know what I mean? And we get to see the story. We get to see how Will ends up in Bel Air, and it's gonna be super exciting for like old fans and new fans. And man, it's been crazy the love around the project. Yeah.
Were you afraid to turn something that I guess was so happy? So I'll call it bright. I'll call Fresh Prince of Bel Air bright. Were you afraid to turn something like that dark?
Nah, I wasn't afraid of it. Because when I had seen Morgan's trailer, I was like, oh, I get it. I get it. And I was like, watch that. You know what I mean? And so I think it's important because it's a reflection of our world. You know what I mean? And I think, it's important to see that.
How hands-on was Will Smith during the taping and all that?
I always say this. It was great that he wasn't, because he really gave us, he really left our retelling and our creation of these characters to our own volition. You know what I mean? And so that allowed us to create these, characters that ourselves are in. You know what I mean? He didn't have his thumb on it hella, you know what I mean? And so I feel like that's what I appreciated about him. But, he definitely gave us a lot of tips.
What about the other characters, Carlton and all them? Did any of them come on set? Or
we had a few talks with the original cast. So it was definitely a blessing to get their blessing and to see that torch pass. You know what I mean?
I always wonder, if and I would love to ask Will this, but maybe he told you. I wonder would he have played that character differently now, because he's older now, and he always said that back then he was pretending to be somebody he wasn't.
Right.
So I wonder would he approach that character different now?
Definitely. I feel like when he was doing the Fresh Prince thing, he had no acting chops at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so he was just kind of up there just trying to figure it out. And I definitely think knowing what he knows now, it definitely would have been different, but it wouldn't have been as raw.
So you got acting chops, so you weren't doing what Will, because they said Will used to be saying everybody's lines.
It was a little different for me. It was a little different for me because I was a theater actor. Oh. And so this is my first time being in front of a camera, in front of a 40-person, camera crew. And so that was definitely a learning curve for sure.
How'd they discover you?
I just sent in my audition. With I had a manager, had an agent that I got through a showcase. And they sent me the call. They were like, yo, there's this show called Bel Air, and for this character Will, and I was like, hold on, Bel Air Will, what? And I saw the call and I was like, okay, I could do this. I knew it was me. I just had to prove to everybody else, but I thought that they wanted like a big name. You know what I mean? I thought that they wanted somebody who was recognizable to everybody else. And so I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get this role, but you know what I mean? I just had to surrender to the whole process. And so I sent him my call, and a couple weeks down the line.
What did you have to do on that first tape? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was a couple of scenes.
Did you have to? What
No, I ain't have to rap. No, I just it was a couple of scenes. It was actually a scene with LeBron in it. LeBron was supposed to be in the first episode.
Really?
But it was budget and
Well, he was supposed to be playing one of the people you were playing ball against?
No. He was to be at a Bel Air party. He was like, yo, that's LeBron. You know what I mean? So I did a scene where LeBron was in it. And I mean, as soon as I read the scenes, when I first got the script, I was like, oh, this show has something to say.
All right, we have more with Jabari Banks. He plays Will Smith in the new series Bel Air. We'll talk to him some more. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Wake up!
Power 105.1. Club. Envy, Angela Yee, and Charlamagne the God. It's topic time. Call 800-585-1051 to join into the discussion with The Breakfast Club.
Talk about it.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. Now, if you're just joining us, we're talking about some of the fattest things you've done.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. That pizza slice with that shrimp fried rice on it got me like, damn. I bet you that's amazing. And if you like roll the pizza up like it's a pizza roll, like you put the shrimp and then roll it. Ooh, Lord.
Hello, who's this?
Hey, this all is well, man. Good morning time to you.
Peace, all is well.
Good morning.
Oh, man, I did the fattest thing ever last night. I went to Food Line, got me a box of them ice cream Snickers. I went and got me a box of the ice cream Klondike. And then I topped it off with a diet root beer.
You wildin'. How much you weigh, King?
Why you get the diet root beer? You might as well just go all the way in.
I got it by mistake and I laughed. I thought I had it. I was in Charlamagne, out there in his town.
Were you in Monk's Corner?
Monk's Corner there, come on.
You went to Piggly Wiggly? Where you went, Piggly Wiggly?
I went to
Food Line? Oh, I love Food Line. Listen, back in the day, when if you had like $2 and you go in the Food Line, you can get you a box of Lil Debbie oatmeal cream pies and one of them big 3-liter sodas for 99 cents. The generic brand now, not no name brand now. The Food Line brand.
My goodness.
Yes, indeed. I did something fat. I was thinking about, oh, man, I got to call y'all back. You know, I was the originator, writer of the song, Girl, You Know It's True, to y'all boy Kevin Lyles. That's how he got on. And when y'all had that Tell 'Em Why You're Mad, I'm going to share that with y'all.
What, Milli Vanilli?
What, you wrote the Milli Vanilli song?
Yeah, I'm from Baltimore, the Baltimore Newmarks. Come out, and I relocated to South Carolina.
Well, on the credits it say Kevin Lyles.
Kevin ain't write that song. Kevin ain't did the beats. Kevin just took the song and ran from Baltimore and got on with Def Jam. Come on. I'm here to share it this morning.
I mean, it don't matter. He won.
Kevin,
he won.
They just sold 300.
What's your name, King?
300 for
All is well.
All is well. Well,
yes,
don't sound like it. But I appreciate you, King.
Well. Hey,
Yes,
I'm down here. I got my trucking company.
There you go.
There you go. Okay.
You living.
Got one of the biggest houses in Monk's Corner. Come on.
Where you live at in Monk's Corner?
I'm on Old 52, man, down there from WW.
Okay.
Big lots and all that.
Yeah.
All right,
I know exactly where
I
you
got
at.
the biggest house in Monk's Corner. I ain't mad at you, brother.
I know exactly where you at off Old 52. Well, congratulations, all is well. Salute to you, King.
And salute to y'all. Y'all keep up the good work, man. Y'all keep it cool on the stool and keep us laughing in the morning. Come on.
That's right. And remember, happiness is subjective. Correct. You know what I'm saying? Like, people always want to put a dollar amount to happiness or, what you're doing in life. Whatever you're doing in life that makes you happy and you making a living, you successful.
Hello, who's this?
Successful and happy.
There you go. Hello, who's this?
This is Jasmine. Good morning.
Jasmine, good morning. We're talking about some of the fattest things you've done.
I just need to make sure this is a judge-free zone first.
Of course it's a judge-free zone, always.
So I'm in Virginia. Me and my friend, put it like this. We drove from, to put it in perspective, Norfolk State to VCU to go to a ladies' restaurant that went viral for baby shower plates.
Baby shower plates?
What are you talking about?
She went viral. We found her on Facebook, and she went viral because she was selling baby shower plates. It was like at the beginning of COVID.
Oh, so you went to go find that food?
When I went to go find that food, we drove from Norfolk State up to VCU. We couldn't even go sit down in the restaurant. We had to sit our fat tail. I don't even know if I said. We had to sit in the car and eat the food.
Was it worth it though?
Absolutely not. I could have made that home.
Damn.
Goodness gracious.
But listen, you had a great experience with your friends.
It was a memory, you know. It
That's
was
right.
a memory.
That's right. And that's what it's about. It's about food, fellowship, and friends. That's what food is for.
Isn't that what food does?
That's
Exactly.
right. That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Thank you, man. Hello, who's this?
It's Fresh.
Fresh, what up, man? We're talking about some real fat boy ish this morning, man. What's the fattest thing you've done?
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I'm only like 160, but everybody who know me call me fat. They say I'm fat in spirit.
How
do a lot of
fat in spirit.
I ain't gonna lie, like the fattest thing for real, bro. Everybody say I'm really like probably 6'8", 250 because I do everything fat, bro. Last week I ate some oatmeal because I didn't want to wait on it to cool off. I put it in the freezer for about 5 minutes.
I don't see nothing wrong with
that with pizza though.
Yeah.
You do that with pizza?
Yeah, pizza be too hot. I put in a little fridge for about maybe
I love Pizza
20
Hut.
seconds,
I needed
30
to burn
seconds.
my mouth.
All right, so what about this? I microwave my ice cream.
Now that's just ridiculous.
Nah, that's just stupid.
Now I do microwave it a little bit if it's too hard. Now when you put that spoon in there,
Yeah, you feel me?
yeah, I do that now.
You microwave
I do that.
your ice? I've
No,
never
I do
heard of
that because you want your ice cream. You got to want it to be soft. You want that spoon to just go right through it.
Yeah, you don't want it to be rock hard.
I don't microwave it though. I just put it on the counter for a little while.
Yeah, that's what you have to put on the counter.
I don't microwave it.
Nah, man, I give it about 15 seconds in the microwave, bro. To get there.
Okay.
Right away.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you.
All
right, man. So now y'all feel fat? Y'all hungry like I am? What's the moral of the story?
And food is amazing, bro. The moral of the story is, I think your diet is a bank account, and good food choices are good investments. And it doesn't sound like y'all making good investments. Like I was talking about, just random things. This sounds like this some of y'all regular everyday diet. All right, so just make sure you're making good food choices to make good investments. That's all. But man, food is life. Well, I love food so much.
Absolutely.
Lord have mercy. We all fat. We all trans fat, bro. And we just need to accept it. Don't nobody really like eating healthy.
No.
Not at all.
Oh, healthy could be delicious. That's not true.
Sure.
It definitely
It don't taste like that.
Yeah, I don't sure.
It don't taste like them.
Sure.
Them Krispy
Man, the
Kreme
juices
donuts.
at Juices for Life,
They don't
those
taste like that
are
macaroni
amazing.
cheese.
It's like dessert.
They good.
Yeah.
But that
They
ain't,
taste
nothing
delicious.
nothing tastes good like
Let
them
me tell you
things.
something.
Mangoes, oh my God, I love a good juicy mango.
If all this stuff we
Grapes.
really love to eat was healthy, like if Krispy Kreme donuts kept us alive, guess what we'd be eating this morning right now?
I tried
You know what I
that.
mean? If Chick-fil-A is what gave us muscles, guess what we'd be eating this morning?
Remember what I used to eat every morning up here?
And I love
Sour Patch Kids,
sauteed spinach
Dunkin'
with
Donuts.
garlic. Yum.
All right, well, it's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
Daytime talk royalty.
Tamron Hall, welcome.
What? Where'd you get that? Who wrote that? I love my mom for sending that in. Thank you, Mom. She listens to the Breakfast Club. Good morning, Mama.
Good morning, Ms. Hall. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How about yourself?
I am blessed, black, and highly favored.
I love that. I am feeling the same way.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Good to see you.
Thank you. This is my first time in your studio.
I know. We
It's
did
like
a Zoom, right?
stimulation
Oh, you said like we did
overload.
Zoom,
yeah,
yeah.
we did Zoom. So I'm
not the
one of
cleanest.
those people because it's not the cleanliness.
disgusting.
Very
I see
underwhelming, right?
stories behind everything.
That's right.
Oh yeah, DJ Envy, you and your wife are going to be on my show soon.
Yep,
I
yep.
can't wait.
We're excited. Super duper excited.
I love this.
man.
There's a lot of alcohol,
It's all for props.
Yes, yeah.
but you don't. What? Oh, you do have the Puffy sent me a monogram vodka. I never opened it.
Vodka?
You guys have
Oh,
one
Ciroc.
too.
Yeah,
Ciroc, yeah. I think you have one
Yep.
too.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it has your name on it, you kind of got to. I guess you're not supposed to drink those.
I didn't drink it. I just left it there. It's for prop, like y'all's.
That's right.
But it's cute.
How was it for you doing the show during the pandemic without an audience?
Oh, it's terrible. It was terrible. I know. I had Seth Meyers on the show the other day, and he said he enjoyed it because it allowed him to connect more with viewers in the way he didn't expect. I think the first half of it, I said, just thank God we're on air. Like, we're on air because we would be canceled otherwise. So we have a chance to stay on. And then when we went back in and had to go back out this last round when Omicron.
Omicron.
I'm a journalist, and I
about to
almost
say Omarion.
I did. Y'all call me out.
Doing that.
I know, and I'm a journalist. I should know better. But that second wave in December, I had to go back into my home and do the show, and it was miserable. And I realized, and you all know this, and Charlamagne, especially with your shows, it is having an audience it's like the 10 Commandments. It's one of the rules of daytime. You have to have an audience. My first time even attending a daytime talk show I went to Temple University and I came to see Geraldo Rivera
Wow.
in person way back when he had a talk show. And it's a part of the energy. So, yeah, it was rough. I did not like it.
I wonder when you went to go see Geraldo back in the day, is that when the bug hit you? Did you
Absolutely
know?
not, no.
No, not at all.
Did you ever see his show? Yeah, like people throwing chairs. No. I was a college student at Temple, and they would always recruit young audiences to come in, and we were here. Two of my best friends are from Brooklyn, and they went to Temple, and so we just did what college kids do. You come to New York, you hang out in Times Square, you got free tickets to go to a show, and it happened to be Geraldo Rivera's.
So when did you get the bug?
Yeah, when did you see yourself doing
When did I get the bug? Well, I was born. If you ask me what I would be doing right now other than this, I jokingly say blackjack dealer, but I don't even know how to play cards. I don't even know how to play cards. I can't play spades, and I'm from the South. I'm embarrassed.
I don't know how to play spades.
I don't know how to play dominoes. I'm an embarrassment.
What about Uno? Can you at least play Uno?
I don't play board games.
You went to
Uno is not a board game.
What is it?
A card game.
I don't play cards. I was never one of those people. I don't play Monopoly. I think I do.
What did y'all do as fun in college though? Because that's
a lot of good stuff.
Like we played spades, we played cards.
Not me.
You didn't go to class?
I did not. Not a lot.
What was going on at Temple? What were you doing?
Oh, house music parties. We used to hang out at Penn a lot. The Penn parties, the Mitten Hall parties. But no, I never played cards, so I don't even know how we got on that one. But yes, I'd say blackjack dealer. But no, I never had a backup plan. This was always what I wanted to do. I think early on, Johnny Carson's show was something that was in the background, but I quickly realized I wasn't a white guy and named Jimmy or James. And so that late night world throughout my entire career was really just a white guy until Arsenio.
Yeah.
And I think maybe seeing Arsenio, obviously Rolanda, obviously Oprah, Phil Donahue, but they all had different. Wow. Remember Rolanda Watts? People forget how important she was in the marketplace. So there wasn't a moment. It was just I felt like I didn't have a choice. This is what I was going to do. And I didn't know it was going to be a talk show. I knew I was going to be a journalist. I love writing. I love reporting. The talk show thing happened, as you know, because I got fired. And so I had to figure out how was I going to get back into TV and not feel as owned as I had previously.
If you hadn't gotten fired from the Today Show, do you think you'd ever gotten in the daytime talk?
No, because in daytime talk, any shows, you know this just with y'all's show, it's almost like the Rocky syndrome. People need to root for you. And in talk show world, they need to root for you. They need to feel a connection with you. And so while I did have a great run, I feel, at the Today Show, and even before that in Chicago for 10 years, because I was recruited to come to the Today Show after being on air in Chicago. But no, because you have to have an arc. It's like a superhero. You need, like I had the ultimate nemesis in the person that they selected, even though I'd never met her and never crossed paths with her. You have that juxtaposition. Clearly, I watch a lot of superhero things. But you have, so you have a juxtaposition of a villain. You have your story arc, your origin story. So what was my origin story? Is I got fired. And as a black woman, being 48 years old and being fired, that hit a nerve with people. What is she going to do? How does she come back? And that gave me opportunities to get in rooms. But if I'm being honest with you, and I always will be, Harvey Weinstein got me in rooms that I was never going to be able to get in. He was the most important person in Hollywood, and he decided he wanted to produce a talk show with me.
Wow.
And so people started taking meetings to hear the pitch because of Harvey Weinstein. And then midstream, Harvey was accused of rape, and which I learned over a text message. Someone anonymously texted me and said, there's an accusation of the R word. And I was like, R word? What does that mean? And then it all.
So what happens there? Because he helped you with your career. But on the other end,
he helped me get meetings. I helped me with my career.
Helped you get meetings. But on the other end, he's, accused of sexual assault.
Terrifying.
All through the place. So do you just step back and say, look, I'm gonna mind my business because I don't know, and he's helped put me in certain
I didn't
rooms,
know what to think. It was like an emotional grenade. Well, I'd never been in a room alone with him. So the first part was, thank God, right? Then the second part was, wait a minute, did the people who came with me in the room, did they know? And is that why they didn't leave me in the room? So there were these many, many questions. And then, I'll be honest, came the moment where I was worried about my own survival, and then I felt guilty. It wasn't that I didn't care. I would never say that. But there was a moment where you think, my career, oh my God, what happens to me? I don't have a job now. I've been in the room with him. Now I'm tied and linked to him. And this show will never get off the ground because 99% of the people we were pitching to were white males of his level, if you will, who were not necessarily open to an idea of a talk show with me.
Especially a black woman.
Black woman, because there hadn't been one, right? Wendy had the longest running talk show outside of Oprah. There'd been here and there, but if you look at the long list of daytime talk shows, it's largely white men and women who these syndicators believe could appeal to, quote unquote, mainstream. And so even though the best who'd ever done it and the most successful in daytime was a black woman who actually didn't have children, she knocked off all of the stereotypes of what's relatable. So now I'm linked to him. I'm worried about my own survival. I am my backup plan. I'm thinking I'm screwed. And then I had to take a step back and say to myself, what about these women who are making these allegations? And I know just like with Bill Cosby, who spoke at my graduation, who I replaced on the board of trustees at Temple University, even if you don't believe all of them, if you have half and then half that half, you have at least one or two.
Yeah,
you
if
know,
there's at least one person.
And if there's one, that's one too many. And that's how I looked at it. So I had to take a step back. And the minute that I started thinking about what it must be like for them, it's like the floodgates open. My confidence, I said, I'm going back in these rooms. I'm going to rewrite letters to all of these people and say, you let me in the room with him. Now let me in the room by myself.
That's right.
And let me pitch myself. And so some of them said yes. Some said no.
As a spiritual woman, that had to like really psychologically, that's God working in a really mysterious way, right?
It wasn't so mysterious. I actually felt like it was a clear sign that, you know, Lena Horne had a quote that was in this book, Stormy Weather, and I have a great obsession with Lena Horne. She said something about white men getting you in rooms that you can't get yourself in. And that's how she felt at the time. And ultimately, that's not true. People will let you in the room. I think you have to just keep beating down the door over and over. We are all in this business that we know. You walk in and you're instantly stereotyped. You're instantly assumed to be something.
Yes.
And so I wrote back notes. And I learned how also, I used to tell people, I definitely channeled 50 Cent a couple of times in. I became no longer afraid to brag on myself.
Yeah, you know, you have your own merit and you deserved it.
But we shrink it down.
Right.
I mean, we all do, but women, we especially do in these meetings. And so then you defer to laughing at jokes that aren't funny, or your presentation changes a lot. And so I said, I'm 30 years in this business. I'm going to run my resume down. And I really did channel every hip hop artist male that you could imagine. And I specifically zeroed in on men because they get a pass at saying some of the things that women can't. I went in very, very hot. I was like, this is who I am and this is what I did. And if I have to explain myself, and I'm sure that was a turnoff to some people, but other people received it with the intention of, if I don't stand up for myself, who is? And that's how I played it.
I always wondered about daytime television. Like, even though Oprah should be the bar, right?
Yeah, she is.
Black woman who defied every stereotype, weird name, some would say, looks everything.
Yeah.
Why didn't they continue to look for more of that instead of just going cookie cutter like they did? I don't understand it.
It is something that it is, they wanted daytime, I believe, not they. Some people wanted daytime to be white. It's like I call it the Fort Greene syndrome. And it's that you have this neighborhood, and for it to be of value, some people believe that it has to be white.
Gotcha.
And so as a result, even though the audience is largely all women of all different backgrounds, our show is almost 50-50, 50% African-American, Latino, Asian, 50% white. So we have this beautiful diversity just straight down the middle of this show. And though we happen to have one of the highest income earning daytime shows. So these are people, mostly women, who buy and who have huge purchasing power. But there will be people who say 50% African American, that's not the audience we want. And you know they still say that. You know that is still the conversation. And I have it all the time. I've had people call in and say, oh, well, why is this, why do they have so many urban guests this week? And then you have other people who claim I don't, which is obviously not true. But it's a fascinating thing. And I think it still remains part of television. I don't want to get into this whole thing, but listen, when I grew up watching TV, it was almost more diverse than it is now. You know, Martin, In Living Color.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the list, if you go through some of the breakout shows in television, The Fresh Prince, and on and on.
Cosby, different world.
Oh, my God, Damon Wayans show, Bill D.L. Hughley show. I mean, we go to Bill Cosby and Oprah, but there was we just had Guy Torry on for their documentary about Fat Tuesdays.
Fat Tuesdays, yeah.
And they talked about this night that was created because TV executives would not go to Compton to hear comedians. So they brought the comedians to the Sunset Strip, and almost every show you watched during the 90s and 2000s was because of a black comic performing on that night and being seen by executives who would never have gone to Compton to hear them. So it's fascinating. But I think, I think it's a valuable landscape. That's why every year you see more shows launched because there's money in daytime, but it's not always seen as a value when that money is coming from us, sadly.
Yeah, because we saw Nick Cannon's show only 6 months, and then they canceled it rather quickly. And we were saying up here, we feel like he really didn't get a fair shake.
He didn't get enough time.
What is a fair? What do you define as a fair shake?
I think at least a year.
Seems like not enough time to really make a mark and establish. It feels like you need a little bit more time than 6 months.
What do you think?
No, I think that he is brilliant, and he is one of the best interviewers I have ever sat in the room with. I think the show wasn't him. I don't know what the show was, but it wasn't him. And I think they needed a reset, but it was too late. But I also think he got an incredible chance because he came in after a scandal that would have broken most people. I would not have gotten on TV had I said the comments about whatever he said, which he apologized for. And he deserved forgiveness for, and he deserved to be on air. I believe that was a big chance. A lot of people would not have been able to get back on air. And I think that may have taken him off of who he is, right? Because you come in with such pressure. You've now just said this thing, you've apologized, but people are swirling and they're looking for you to fail. And so I didn't always see like the Nick that I love on that particular show.
Could you be that on daytime though? Because of what you said, how they want you to cater to middle America, mainstream America.
I think he could. Nick Cannon is one of the most successful people in entertainment, bar none. I mean, think about all of the shows. So he has a huge fan base. I think coming in under that pressure was never going to change, right? He was coming in with a cloud of people thinking, he got a shot. Look what he said. Look what he did. And then I feel, his personal life, which he was so honest and open about, was used against him. I mean, why he has kids or whatever it was, these storylines that became overshadowing of his talent. And he's so talented.
No, that's true, because it's like you can't even really get into discussions about the show because you got to dig through all that stuff.
Exactly. And so all the articles became about his personal life, not about, he had Jamie Foxx on. They had this amazing segment. I'm a TV junkie. I watch everybody's show. I listen. So I never watched him as competition. I watch as a fan. But I feel like people didn't talk about the content. So I don't know how that was ever going to change. That's what I mean. So if you give them another year, another 6 months, were they going to be able to change what people were talking about, sadly, which was his personal life? And he owned it. He smiled about it, whatever. I thought, why aren't we talking about his interviews or his content? And so that's what I mean by it. I don't know if a year would have changed that. But if anybody's going to be back on TV with 60,000 shows.
He's still on TV, right.
He still is. So he's got more shows and more millions than I'll ever have.
Does Tamron Hall feel like a successful talk show host yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. What about you, man? That's an interesting question. Why'd you ask me that?
Just because it's like, you came in and then everybody was like, oh, we don't know if it's going to last, but then you got another season. Now you got renewed for 2. So now you breathe a sigh of relief and like, oh, okay.
No.
What? But if everything was to end now, you'd feel successful.
If everything were to end now, how do you define success? What is success?
It's subjective.
Right. Yeah. So I think for me, success is, I did something, to your point, that people didn't think could be done. And now we're about to go in our 4th and 5th season. I don't know. I was a success the day that I was born. My mother beat the odds. She was a 19-year-old single mom with no husband. My grandfather brought me home with a 2nd grade education. He could not read. So I was a success when the day I came out of my mother's body, because no one expected her to be able to be a great mom as a teenager, this country girl who then moved to a bigger city. So I don't measure it by the talk show. I really don't. And I know that sounds all like, oh, I don't. I do not. I don't, because you'll define yourself by it. There's a book that I read called A Path of Light, and it says, are you what your card says beneath it? So right now, whoever's listening, you all take out your occupation. Are you still you?
That's right.
And I had to very early on in my life measure my life by that, because none of the people who I raised even had a business card to have a title underneath it. So they didn't measure themselves. So I wasn't raised to measure myself by that. So,
and even doing things you're passionate about, like your new show on Court TV, Someone They Knew.
Yeah.
That has to feel good, because that's something that you really wanted to do.
Yeah, right. Because now, so that going back to your question, the success is being able to choose your projects, right? And choose the things you want to do. So now I do have that option. So Court TV came to me and they said, we want to do a show, Someone They Knew, and we would like for you to do it. I did a crime show called Deadline Crime for 6 seasons, including when I was pregnant with Moses. And I couldn't do it anymore because it was just, I was an emotional wreck. Right. And you talk a lot about mental health. Imagine reading a script about, a mother being murdered and I'm pregnant and I hadn't told anybody. And I'm thinking, can my baby hear this way? Is he going to have anxiety? Like, what am I doing? And so I said, once I finished that last season, I would never do it again. But I miss talking to people and giving them an opportunity to be comforted and giving them a chance to tell what happened to them. And this show is fascinating to me because the common denominator is someone they knew. I mean, the crime show I did before was random crimes across the country, which were all compelling. But this is, right now, someone in this room could snap. And these aren't like people who are you looking at? I'm not looking at, wait a minute. It's the guy back there with the cap on. Yep. No, but we talk about crime, especially in New York, of randomness, somebody jumping out of an alley or someone following you home or a fender bender and 2 people get into it. But these are people that were brought into the lives of the victim through no fault of the victim. And it tells you a lot about greed, envy, jealousy, passion, displaced passion, and what can happen. So the common thread is, and I always tell people, this show is not meant to scare you, but it is to say that there is someone in your sphere, in your universe, who could turn into a different person, who could go from the friend to a murderer. And that's what these stories are about. It's amazing.
And we see it all the time on the news.
Absolutely.
The guy who works in the building where you live and he's a superintendent.
No, these are people in their world. Like for women, 1 in 4 women are the victims of a domestic violence, crime, or assault. That person is in their life. Yeah. So it's not the guy who's, the door guy or the guy who parked the car who suddenly gets fascinated. These are like intimate individuals in the lives of these people. And you wonder what drives someone, remember that movie Sleeping with the Enemy?
Yeah, I was just thinking
that's
that,
the thing.
Sleeping with the Enemy.
You're lying in bed with someone and you believe that they love you, and with the same mouth and voice that they say, I love you, they can say, I hate you.
Right.
And that's what's so fascinating. So this show really is, it's a head trip, because you do wonder, how did that person go from being, we use that phrase, ride or die, they go from being your ride or die to wanting you to die.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Shows? Did you watch them? See, because I watch them like on the weekends, the shows are on, me and the wife cleaning or whatever we doing, and you always want, it's just so interesting.
They are, and I can't watch them at night. I watch all. It's like watching a horror movie, so I do it all before. Like my son wakes up at 5:30 a.m. and I will turn on the TV. And my husband's like, "Turn the TV on." I'm gonna watch this, and I will binge it like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. They're so interesting from a human nature perspective. I mean, we're all, by what we do, we're kind of like an archaeologist. We're studying human behavior. So like, for example, when I walked in this room, I could see you studying me and I was studying you. I start to look at body language. I hugged Angela, but I didn't hug you. I get you and then you watch how people respond.
Was my breath? Let me...
No, you're watching how people respond. I can even tell when my answer went too long because I can see it in your eyes, Charlamagne. So you can see. I can see it. No, you got it. Your body shifted. So we all are like little investigators, right? And so these shows turn you into investigators because you're wondering, A, how do I avoid being a victim? B, could I prosecute this? C, how would I investigate it? Which is also why I wrote my crime book. I have a crime series, Jordan Manning. as the Wicked Watch. I'm actually 15 chapters into the follow-up to that. And that book, like this show, all inspired by human nature. And I'm no professional at this. I'm a journalist who does a talk show. But I am deeply fascinated by how people can take someone else's life, especially someone they love.
Especially, when you talk about human behavior, the only reason all of us are safe every day is because of human behavior. Because we make a choice not to go crazy on somebody.
Yes. I mean, could you be pushed to it, right?
Yeah.
Could you be pushed to a point of no return? I think I could.
You could?
100%.
I've never felt like I wanted to, somebody told me one time that, and I totally disagree with this, but I've had a woman say on my podcast that if a man doesn't ever feel like he wants to kill you, he doesn't love you.
Well, that's a lie. No, that's
and I was like, that is absolutely
that's not true. What I mean by that is not passion love. When I had my son, they talk about the mama bear thing.
Okay.
I didn't know that was real until I had my son. We were walking one day, and we live in the city, and this man was just demonstrative and walking, and my baby was just learning to walk, and he nearly knocked him over.
Ooh.
I saw stars. It was one of those moments like Oprah. We brought Oprah in Color Proud. I was like, hold my baby. I was like, I was ready to kill this man. And I turned. And before I'm like cursing, and my husband is like, what is this? And it was a rage from the bottom of my feet, I can't believe I'm admitting this, to the top of my head that I could have.
I could see that, though.
When's the last time you wanted to kill somebody, Ms. Hall?
Never. That was just at one time. Don't try. See, this is what you do. Don't you try to make me mad like Kamala Harris. I will not fall for this nonsense. Not gonna. You already got to have Nick Cannon mad at me. Be like, Tamara said he didn't even. That is not what I said. So let me clear that up. I said that too many people were distracted by things that didn't matter, which were Nick's great interviews, Angela. So don't try to screw me with him. So no, no, honestly, it was only when I had my baby that it was this mama bear. When they tell you don't get in the middle of a bear cub and the mama bear, I understood and understand that snap. Because I'd never felt
it. It doesn't go away.
And it doesn't. Oh, please don't tell me that.
I got 6. It doesn't go away.
You feel like you're on guard constantly.
I'm ready to do it.
Really?
I'm ready to kill somebody over my kids. I'm not lying because we see so many stories all the time of people doing things to kids. I'm like, and we are the wish a nigga would type of people. I wish somebody would.
Okay, you said it. I won't say it, but that's how I feel with my son. I feel like.
What about your husband? Do you feel like that?
No, he's grown. He's 53.
But if somebody did something to him, you wouldn't be like, I'm gonna kill that person.
Oh no, we would get it going. No, it's my husband.
He feels like
it's
that about
different.
you.
He better. I hope. Of course. This is a funny story. I was once engaged to a man, and we went on vacation together, and we parasailed, and we were out in the ocean in Cozumel or somewhere. This was many years ago, and the parasail snapped. I can't swim. I flew into the ocean. He was still on the boat. I called off the wedding.
Absolutely.
And that's a true story.
No, as you should.
The guy on the boat who didn't even speak English was like swimming toward me.
He was just on the boat chilling?
He didn't move.
He was like, you had a life vest. You had a life vest on.
He was a lifeguard growing up. So I may have told too much, and he gonna sue me now.
The difference between pools and oceans, though.
What?
I'm just trying to look at all sides.
That's his fiance.
I'm just trying to be objective.
That should be your reaction. Should be, I gotta save her. And he's a lifeguard.
Last weekend, I think it was Miami. Fiance fell in the ocean. Guy jumped in after her. Choppers of the plane, the boat killed him.
Oh yeah, that was very sad.
I'm going in for my wife.
I'm just saying. But that's what happened. I'm just saying, like
that's not. No, but
and all they did was throw the life raft for her and got her.
But he died for love.
Yeah, but he should have let the people on the boat do their job.
No, I could not.
So what was his excuse afterward?
I didn't speak to him. We flew all the way back, and I said, "This is not going to work." And
what was his explanation?
Listen. I did not ask.
They got you?
I did not. I was so upset and so disappointed.
Maybe he froze. On Black Panther when she was like, "Don't freeze." Maybe he froze.
Well, we'll never know. Because I married somebody else. We'll never know.
You was in that water. You wasn't concerned about drowning. You was more concerned, how come this nigga didn't come get you?
No, not that word. So first of all, the parasail, I was terrified it was going to come down over my head. But it fell behind me. I had a life jacket on. I can't swim. So now I'm thinking two things. Thank God the parasail did not. Then I'm like, Jaws is going to eat my legs because I'm in the deepest part of the ocean.
He might have been thinking that too. He was like,
So whose side are you on, Angela?
How far away from the boat were
First
you?
you were like, I can't believe it, and jump there. You're like, wait a minute, what if there's Jaws? No, my legs are dangling. And how far is the boat? They had to turn around.
Oh, so you there for a minute.
Because it snapped, and I flew out. And pow, hit the water. It's like cement. I could have died. And then they flew back around, came back, and then I realized I wasn't going to go under, and I locked eyes with him. And I was like, wait a minute.
Swim this way. Swim this way.
Doggy paddle.
So he didn't even try to explain himself?
You know, it's so long ago, but I whatever he said wasn't suffice. It wasn't enough, because I remember getting on that boat and I was like, this man will never, ever.
What if he was like World Star?
Yes, I'm trying.
Yeah, you've been taking lessons, right?
I've been trying.
I still can't swim. So, and
you
I
can't?
No.
You should come and. Well, my son can swim. I'm still learning.
Isn't that terrible? Your son can swim, and you're like,
well, you guys
great.
love building people up. Isn't that terrible?
What kind of? That's how I feel when little kids be swimming circles around me, and I'm like, why can I still?
He's
not
a part
see
of my motivation. Going back to that mama bear. So when we got our kid, when I had him, and I said, okay, we have this pool, and we do so many stories, and it is so important. And I did a report on, there's this whole study on why people of color don't swim, and it has nothing to do with an inability to swim. It was a fascinating study from USA Swim that basically said two things. When they asked young black girls, it was about our hair.
Yeah.
It was about our hair. But more important than that, because that was a very small percentage, you don't want to put your child in a situation where you can't save them. So many black parents and parents of color can't swim. And so you say, I know you can swim, but I need to be able to save my baby.
That's right.
And so as a result, it has nothing to do with like a lack of swimming programs. A lot of people pointed to pools closing in areas. It had nothing to do with that. It was, I cannot bring myself to put my baby in a position where they would be harmed, and I can't, going back to mama bear, daddy bear, can't go in and save them. So that's been a part of it. So when I had Moses, I was like, I cannot possibly be here and not be able to launch in. So the first class I took, they taught me diving. So they would put these things, and they said...
The first class was diving?
100%.
You learn how to get in the water?
Well, no, diving and retrieving. Because they said, we won't call it anything. We'll say a piece of something falls on. And we would never use that, that visual.
That seems like
so
level 5 or something, right?
I needed it though, right? So they would put it in, and I'd dive, and they taught me how, your instinct is when you would dive in, you'd hold your breath. So you're panicking and something is underwater, you go, and you dive in. Well, you're going to run out of air. So they taught me how to push the air out going in so that I could go in. And so it was intense and it was terrifying, but going back to what you will do for love, that was one of the things that
I respect you breaking that off, though, because it's like you can't really do those vows, sickness and in health and all that other stuff.
You respect me now because you first were defending him and you said he could have been killed by a random manatee. A manatee could have slapped him.
But I get it, though, because you can't with confidence say those vows knowing that you almost let your woman drown.
Or I couldn't be confident in hearing it. What about my perspective? He could probably have said them because I'm sure now I got to go find him on Facebook and I'll ask him why didn't he jump in? But have you ever been at a crossroad? I met your wife too. I met Charlamagne's beautiful wife at the Tyler Perry studio. Is there have you been in a moment or a crossroad where you had to say, I got to jump in? Was there ever a confrontation with a guy where somebody was looking at her?
No, not yet. Hopefully, never. I'm too old now to be doing.
Yeah, you got to get some push-ups. You ready?
Yeah.
You got to be ready.
I was going to ask, how old is Moses?
Moses will be 3 in April.
3 in April. When you're teaching one thing about swimming, just remember, sometimes it doesn't matter that he can swim, but if kids are around him and grab him, even though if you could swim.
Right.
So they teach you, if that's the case, tell Moses to go down under the water. Because when you go under the water,
my heart is racing now.
Go.
You got my heart racing.
I
know.
But I teach the kids swimming, and the reason I never learned how to swim is in Queens we didn't have swimming pools.
Do you swim now?
I swim. Yeah, I was on the swim team.
You were?
So I taught that.
Even with the Beijing in your bed, you still jump in the water?
Shut up.
Is that?
That's not Beijing.
Oh, okay.
It's just for men.
But as soon as the kids are young, like 6-7 months, I put them in the water.
That's what we did.
Them, so that way they learn, and all my kids know how to swim great.
See, that's good. We did that with Moses. We started at, he was a few weeks old. And actually, I saw Gabrielle Union is a friend, and I saw Kavya in the water, and I was like, okay, look at her. She's doing it. I'm showing my infant these pictures. She is a phenomenal swimmer, and I wanted him in the water. But it is truly one of those intimidating things, even still for me. But it is so important, and there are so many misnomers about why Black people don't swim. And it just, when I got involved with this organization, USA Swim, and started studying, it was after, I think it was 3, and I don't want to quote it wrong, but there was an incident in Louisiana where there was a sandbar and the children fell in and they drowned. And as adults were going out to save them, they were drowning. It's like 3 generations of a Black family died. This was about 10 years ago I did the story. It was devastating, and nobody in the family. And so the others were forced to stand at the shore. And it was just like, it blew my mind. It blew my mind. And that was also a part of the catalyst for me wanting to help them get the message out about the swim. But you can come over, we'll help you.
I know, I gotta learn how to swim.
You
This
do.
is
How old are
terrible. Too old to not know how to swim.
Oh,
In
you
my
don't say your
40s.
age? I should have asked.
She's never been to Disney World.
Well,
Never saw The Lion King either.
I saw the Broadway play, The Lion King.
What? Okay, you judged me for not playing Uno? I mean, are you kidding me?
She got a point, Yee.
I have seen the Broadway play, though. I know the gist
That's not
of the
the
Lion
movie.
King.
That's right.
You've never seen the movie?
And
Not
I've never
even
been
the
to
one
Disney World.
Disney World, Disneyland?
I've been to Disneyland in California, never Disney World in Orlando.
Why don't you guys take her for her birthday?
No, thank you.
I got enough kids.
I'd rather have a good time.
I got 4 daughters.
I will go with you. You
Yeah,
will
we'll go
love it.
swimming in Disney World.
No,
Let's do
we
it.
will not. No, we will not do that because there are a lot of kids in that water and everything else there.
Definitely pull us
It is,
down.
you know what? It's very, very fun. It is truly magical. And you have to get that iconic picture where you're right in the middle and it's behind. Do you have any nieces or nephews or anything?
I have a lot of younger cousins.
You should do a family trip. It's expensive.
I think I would go with my friends at this point now and my kids. I have 3 godchildren. You know, they're
You
kinda-
should go. I know you give great financial advice. Just, it is expensive. I
I've
was
heard.
It is.
She got to get the tour. though.
Plus, I got
You gotta get the tour.
My girl Koya,
You
who's
gotta
on
get
the
the
radio
fast
in
pass.
Orlando. She's already set it up. So when I go there next, she's like, "We're gonna go."
It's a lot. You want to get a fast pass. You want to get a tour.
Yep.
You want to, and then it's a lot. What?
Gotta go next month.
Am I too old to
went
be
this
in
year for
Disney
Christmas.
World
I go
without a
every year.
child, though?
No, listen. Do you know that Disney is the #1 destination for couples to honeymoon?
I could never honeymoon.
That's too much stress. Why would they want to do
That's
that?
too
Why?
And they have the whole Disney wedding collection.
Nah.
Like people, like they had the Gucci Disney collaboration.
Yeah.
They have people go and they design beautiful gowns inspired by the
Really?
princesses. Yes, is that a word?
That's too much.
Yeah, my oldest daughter does cheerleading, so they have their cheerleading competition there every April.
No, it is truly
I'm gonna
magical.
make it there, and I'll let you know.
You're gonna make it there. You're like you're going to Mars with Pete Davidson.
make it there.
I'm gonna make it there.
I'm gonna let Jeff Bezos know.
Giving me a seat. You could go tomorrow. You own like half of Brooklyn. I read every time about you buying another house, another town. You should get on the plane tonight and fly private
All right, I'm gonna see
and
y'all
fly
later.
right back.
No.
You should just fly right there and
Now,
go.
you know what fascinated me? You had a couple of the women from Tinder Swindler on the
That's
show.
terrifying.
Yes, that was terrifying to me. But I feel like people didn't have a lot of sympathy for them.
They didn't. People don't have sympathy for. We do a lot of shows on this type of crime, this type of fraud that takes place. And we did one season, I think it was season 1 or 2 of our show. A woman, she was a CIA spy, and a man swindled her out of over $1 million.
Good Lord.
And people had no sympathy for her. And it breaks my heart. And I try to explain to folks, cons are good because they're cons.
That's right.
And when people say, "Oh, that wouldn't have ever happened to me," like, yes, that's what they do. It's like they spend their entire day trying to figure out how to get you to give. You don't think you could do it?
I'll be watching the show.
Yes,
I think
you
last
would.
night I watched Raw Food and Wine. I think that's the name of
You've
it.
never
yeah,
felt taken it. Oh, that was Raw Vegan. I saw that one. Yeah. You've never felt taken advantage of ever in a
Nah.
romantic
You've been swindled.
situation.
Remember you bought
I
them
was
fake
swindled
leather
for a leather
jackets?
jacket. I bought a fake leather jacket, but that was $200.
You bought a fake.
It was on the train.
But that's
This
the
is my
beginning.
no, it wasn't even on the train. I seen him.
Beginning.
But he put the fire against the leather and told me leather doesn't burn.
But you look, understand how crazy that sounds? I bought a leather jacket with a guy with a flame torch gave me a test.
It was a great story.
It is a great story.
It was.
But that's how it starts.
But it's only $200, $250.
It doesn't
To
matter.
you.
That's a lot of
That's a lot of
money.
money to. That's a lot of money to a lot of people.
And I feel like you bought several
I was gonna
jackets.
give my whole life savings
But
for that jacket.
$250 is the beginning. So if first of all, $250 is a lot of money.
It is.
Again, to buy a jacket on a subway
With a flame
With a
torch.
flame torch. $50 I could see. $250 is a lot.
He
I
said it
feel
was
like you
real
bought
leather
some fake
and it was
sneakers
Calvin
too.
Klein.
Look what you just said. He said
You're right.
It was real leather. And that's what you got.
If you can wear a fake beard, you can wear fake leather.
Shut up.
Did your beard
not fake.
Do you dye it?
No, I don't do nothing to it.
He's lying. You told us you did.
Just
now
for
you gotta
men,
stop.
It's like,
Don't try to swindle
Are you a
us.
pitch person for them?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
He's not
You
a pitch
mentioned it 3 times. I'm like, any name I mention 3 times, you get.
What?
It's him.
Do you have a
No.
People always ask about your skin. Everyone always talks how beautiful it is.
I have a dermatologist, Dr. Natasha Sandy. But
it's beautiful.
But I don't use Beijing.
Tamara, have you ever been swindled?
Yes, ma'am.
Have I ever been swindled?
Yeah,
Like a date
anything,
swindle?
or
No.
any like how Envy's talking about the flame torch with the leather.
Like no. Have I? Yes.
What
Yes.
you bought? Fake?
I've never bought anything fake.
What you get? How do you get
No.
swindled?
Oh, I can't tell the story.
Come on, give us a notebook.
No, because it involves illegal stuff. No, because I know.
How much did you lose? Just say that much.
I didn't lose anything. I got it back, but
How much did they take before you got it back?
I had deposited $5,000,
wow.
and then because of our service related to my child, and then the service turned out not to be legitimate, and then I had to go and
Get it back.
get it back.
Envy could have bought 20 leather jackets.
I did. I'm like, I hate being cagey, but it did get legal, so I can't get
Okay.
shit. She'll be watching like, you really? Now I want my money back. But with the dating thing, it's about getting someone when they're vulnerable, and love makes us so vulnerable. Going back, I don't want to make this a thematic show. The love of your child, the lack of love, or the guy didn't jump in to save me. Any of these things, it's love, and they zero in on it. I had the Tinder swindler women on, and to your point, you think like, at the point they're asking for, oh, my check didn't come in. If you front me this, I'll give it back. They just nibble away. At the same time, they're love bombing them.
Right.
They're showering them with gifts. And in that case, he was buying gifts with the money from other women. So you're thinking, oh, he just took me on a $4,000, dinner.
So it's adding up.
So he's
on a
got to
private
have the
jet?
money. I'm on a
Yeah.
private jet. He'll give it back. But yeah, it is a huge problem. And think about it. These are the people who come on TV. Do you know how many others that you know who stay silent?
Right.
That's right.
And who don't tell how they've been taken advantage of? It's crazy. But I see how it can. Thank God it's never happened. But I see how it can.
Yeah, watching that, I saw how it could happen because he was definitely doing a lot of things.
He's pulling up in a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
You don't think he has stolen it. And then he's taking them on trips on private planes.
And then you're believing that his life is in danger because people are after him.
Well, that's
and
when
his
he lost me.
security got beat up, and he's
When I
sending
heard
pictures.
that too much, we always remember when they start adding on, like, so that they say there are tells with a lie. And so obviously you watch the eyes. If the eyes go down and go up, there are different tells. When people start adding on too much detail.
Right.
That's when
Keep
you know.
your life simple.
They keep your life simple. If you ever, I hate to give you this advice, but when doing a crime show, and I view a lot of interrogation video, and looking even with my new show, we have one guy, we have his interrogation video, and I was sitting there the whole time like, please stop. He just kept going, and he, they say talk yourself into a lie. He just keep your lie. First of all, always commit the crime by yourself. Never, because if you're going to do it with anybody, they're going to tell. Every
Are you
crime.
giving us
How about not commit the crime, Miss
crime? What else should we do when we commit?
Angela, don't do it at Disney. No, there are cameras everywhere. No, I do a crime show. So again, going back to what Charlamagne said, you study people.
Right.
And one of the things I always tell people, everybody, you get caught when you do it with somebody else. If you're going to rob the bank, just leave the car out front and don't take anyone because they're going to tell on you. That's the first thing.
Okay.
The second thing is keep it simple.
Right.
Stupid.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Keep
That's
it
my dad
simple,
used to say.
stupid.
Keep it simple.
Do not go in the interrogation room believing that you can trick them. You cannot trick those investigators. That's all they do all day long is hear people lie. It's just like, I know when people are lying in an interview. I do. I interview people and I'm like, this is not a true story, or this is a TV version of the story. They know.
Right.
I want to ask you something because you used this word a couple of times throughout the interview, journalism. Do you think there's still such things as objective journalism, or is everything
It was never
opinion-based?
objective. It was never objective. 100%. How can it be? We're humans. We go home to our lives. We go home. So you're telling me, it's like when, going back to my show, when they say to the jury, strike what you just heard.
How?
How? Right. It's not possible.
Yeah.
So we go in with our biases. We go in with our beliefs. We go in with our perspective, and how you extract that would make you one of the most incredible people ever, and that would be Jesus. Because I don't think it's possible And now you can try to suppress some of it, but going back to, the book that I wrote and when we talked about missing black and brown, people pick white blonde women to lead for a reason. That's a bias because you believe that the audience values that life more or will not turn it from that story. That's the reason why I was on a couple of shows and people, well, why do you think this continues to happen? We know the answer why. So then why does that happen? Because people have biases. They see that looks like my daughter. That could be my kid. She looks just like my daughter's friend. Oh my gosh, that could happen in my neighborhood. Reporters are just people. It's impossible. And I know a lot of my colleagues will greatly disagree with me and may not be happy with me saying that. I've been in newsrooms for 30 years.
Right.
I'm in the newsroom with people, not robots. And you hear and see every day. And that doesn't mean it's a negative, right? Because sometimes your perspective and bias can help. But there's no way. There's no way.
So how do you trust any of these networks, CNN, MSNBC, Fox? Because it's all opinion-based. How do I know that you're just giving me the facts as they know them?
You don't. I mean, you're asking me a beginning of time question. This is, journalism didn't start with MSNBC. I know people believe that, but it did not. The history of journalism, muckraking. Look at, when we talk about dirty politics, I won't bore you, but take a second and look at the Thomas Jefferson attacks. It's incredible. So I feel like, not to oversimplify, but just even Alexander Hamilton. Everyone loves Hamilton. I bring that up. That was some dirty politics.
That's right.
This isn't new. Journalism being used to demean. Look at some of people love cartoons, political cartoons. Have you seen some of the political cartoons of Irish people, Italian people, black people? We talk a lot about how we were made to look in political cartoons, these exaggerated, monstrous ways. This is a part of the political agenda since people could pick up a pen and a paper without words. So the idea that CNN, MSNBC, or Fox started this is ridiculous. And the idea that human beings who come in from very different worlds, and sometimes the people they're reporting on. I just saw a whole conversation about monetizing journalism. We know people, you and I, in journalism who make $60 million.
Yeah.
What are you going to do to keep that $60 million check? You're going to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
You're going to go on TV and say some crazy things if that's what you're paying to say. Anything that's monetized is corruptible. Anything that's monetized is tainted. And when you make millions of dollars as a journalist, which I hope to, it's going to impact you. It is. And that's a lie when people say that it doesn't. You make $8 million a year. What are you going to do to keep making that $8 million? First of all, why? Why? And I say that knowing, again, that I want all of us to have $8 to $20 to $30 million contracts. But why? If you're not a war correspondent, right? Because those people are putting it in on the line.
Yeah.
What you see out of Ukraine is incredible reporting that I don't and I could not ever do. But I do think that that's not, though, to say that there aren't honest journalists. I think most journalists are honest. Honest and biased are two different things.
So what is a journalist? Because I feel like all of them are biased.
Oh, what is a journalist? It's somebody who reports what they see and what they hear. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. Now, what is opinion? That's different. But a journalist, I just did an interview with Chike and Cootie. They did the documentary on Kanye. It's phenomenal.
Right.
It's a phenomenal documentary. They are journalists to me. They picked up a camera and they journaled and chronicled the rise of Kanye West into what he is now, which I believe is a genius. So they follow that. That's journalism to me. Anybody can pick up their phone. And the citizen reporters, half of the crimes against black people related to police are because one person, George Floyd, she picked up the camera. You know what I mean? That she's a journalist. She's also brave and a transformational person in this conversation of police brutality. But at the end of the day, she was a journalist. She picked up that phone and chronicled what she saw in an unbiased way, but then turned it over from the perspective of being black and knowing that that could have been her too. So I think anyone can be a journalist. Opinion is very different. And that's, after 7 p.m. or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like everything is opinion-based now.
No, I don't think that's true. I don't think. There's a clear difference, I feel, between what happens from 9 until 5 or whatever, and then after 5, I think. I think so.
But that's part of why representation matters so much, because we do have our own biases that we bring with us, like you said. Yeah. But you want people that also have a similar experience, because the way they tell the story is different than someone is from the outside that maybe doesn't understand cultural things.
I think it's a complicated answer, because I just had somebody on recently who said, well, as a white guy, I was in over my skis to talk about George Floyd. And I said, wait, but you can't view it that way either, because I don't need to walk in your shoes to tell you that it's wrong. So, for example, I'm a kid from, Texas, rural Texas. The only Jewish person I knew growing up was Jesus, right? When I first learned about the Holocaust, I think I was in the 5th grade. My teacher didn't have to tell me that was wrong. My teacher didn't have to say, oh, my God. Yeah. I didn't need to be Jewish, practice the faith, practice the culture, go to a Seder dinner, any of that. I knew what I saw on there was wrong. So I don't personally need to walk a white colleague through why George Floyd was wrong. And you can't let people off the hook by saying, oh.
Well, no, I think you still have a responsibility to report and know when something's wrong. But I also feel like somebody that can relate to something more, when I watch that type of reporting, is something 100%, that is important to have.
Absolutely.
Like if you have somebody who's from, say they're talking about our mayor, Eric Adams, and you have somebody that's from here, that as opposed to somebody that's from Texas. Yeah.
I agree.
It is a little bit of a difference.
It is absolutely different. I think, though, what happens, though, is people then use it as an excuse not to know.
Right.
Right? So I'm a reporter from Texas. It was my job to learn New York. It was my job to learn Flatbush or Crown Heights. It was my job. So I can't go into my newsroom and say, I'm from Texas, so I'm bowing out. That's right. And when it comes to race and gender, I watch a lot of people bow out and use that as an excuse. Well, I'm not a woman, so I'll never know. Well, you know a woman. I'm not black, so I'm in over my skis. So I can't talk about that because I don't know.
You're a human.
You're a human. You're a human. And so I am always careful of when people talk about, that, because they use it as an excuse for them not to know. Our diversity is important in the room for exactly what you said. It sometimes is used against us in the sense that it lets people off the hook for them not to learn.
That's why I love seeing the conversations where they have panels and different people from different perspectives can talk about the same thing.
Well, that's why this show works. I mean, that's why you're a hugely successful show, because you come in, you bring your perspective, DJ Envy, you guys bring your perspective, and that's why a show like this, and I'm not just saying it because I'm here as a guest, this is what, one day people might not agree with something you say, they like what he says, and back and forth. That's why The View was such a hugely popular show, and that's why everyone tried to do panel shows. The key, though, is you have to have the right components, and you have the ability and agency to speak up just as much as they do, which makes the show compelling. You're not just the woman there representing us. You're a strong voice representing us.
Well, we see you salute Wendy Williams last week. Why was it important for you to do that?
Wendy has done something. There's a morgue of dead daytime careers, where
God
people.
Damn, I can tell you listen to rappers. Damn, you in the morgue of dead daytime careers.
Meaning people.
That was like Court TV /rappers
Cameron?
I'm leaving. This has been too. I'm taking Drake. Got my bag. Where's Birdman? I'm out of it. I'm gonna take this crap. No, what I said was no, because I really, it's not the kind of show I would have done. I'm going to be very honest. But she did it so brilliantly and did it for over a decade. And when people would say, she was this, she was that, nobody should be feeling sorry for her. Howard Stern, no A-list celebrities still go on his show despite things that he said, and he's the king of media. And I would hear people say, I don't want to go on Wendy, but they would go on his show. And I thought, this is a double standard. She is doing this shocking style of performance, which is exactly what he did, but she was somehow penalized in the eyes of some people. But she stayed on for 13 years. She survived. Google how many failed daytime shows happened while she was on, doing more with less. It was a chair and a woman who was an excellent performer in that style of television. and she deserves that acknowledgement. I mean, I'm getting all hot now. You make me mad. Because I just feel like people, like I said, listen, there's a lot of things that I did not agree with. And the Whitney Houston thing, it still bugs me to this day. And there are a lot of other things. But that said, I felt there was a level of unfairness directed at her style when a comparable peer who did a similar show was still seen as A-list.
What do you think should be next for her? Should she do it? I've been hearing about The View, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because I don't know what it is, right? I mean, she was on with T.J. Holmes. I commented only because she came out on with T.J. Holmes and talked with him on Good Morning America. I don't know. I've only met her a couple of times, and the last time I saw her, we were in Philadelphia. And she was at the train depot with some friends. I guess they were her team, some members of her team. And, she was like, I look terrible right now. Don't look at my... And she started telling me about the thyroid and whatnot. And I don't know. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. It really does. And I don't know her as well as you do. But it does. And I don't know. I don't know.
Now, everybody knows you were close with Prince. Do you feel like his legacy is being represented correctly?
Well, I think he had a choice to map out a better plan, and he chose not to map out a better plan. And he's the smartest human being I've ever met. Second to Nick Cannon. Don't try to say I said something bad about Nick Cannon. He's brilliant, and
Prince is second to Nick Cannon?
No, I'm kidding.
That's a headline.
I said Nick Cannon was second to Prince. He thought out everything, every detail, and I cannot imagine that it did not once cross his mind that he did not have a plan for what happens. So I guess I choose to assume that he didn't care what was going to happen.
Wow.
Or maybe sometimes you don't know the end is coming. You think you have time.
That's all he talked about was the end.
Really?
Yeah. The afterlife. What is that like? He talked about a lot that this is not the end game place, right? That there is much more for us to know spiritually and to be connected to spiritually. I don't think he was as tied to these things as we believe. And that's why he left these things for others to deal with. I don't believe he was as tied to it as people thought.
Now, with the show Someone They Knew, there was a personal incident that kind of made you gravitate towards this series as well, right?
Yes. We've talked a little bit about it before. My sister was murdered in an unsolved crime, and the person of interest, the only person of interest was someone in her life. And so that goes back to what we were talking about, who amongst you could turn into somebody that you don't recognize. And so I was not there on the night that she lost her life, but I was very much aware over our years. My sister was extremely beautiful, so vibrant and fun. Like, she knew how to play Uno, and just like really a life of the party kind of person. But she had in her past had some very violent relationships, and it wasn't just one. And so what I started to talk about more than the night that she lost her life was things that I was present to, and I was there when things happened to her that were horrifying. And it did make me wonder about safety as a woman, and all of those things. So
yeah. What's your experience been like, hosting the Tamron Hall Show? What's been the biggest challenge?
Standing up for yourself. I mean, we all have shows that we had ideas that we wanted to do, and then people start coming in the room and they try to change you or change how you handle the show or what. I think that I'm happy that I have the show now, in that my back was against the wall when I started it, so I navigate more strategically and more confidently. What I mean by that is sometimes people don't agree with decisions that are made, but I stand up for myself. I'm not going to shrink down, and I'm not going to. I went into rooms with people and fought for this show to be on TV. So I'm not going to lean out of that for anybody. But I'm always open to ideas. But the hardest part, really, other than a global pandemic, has been just expectations, right? Expectations of myself and what I have of my staff.
And when you talk about double standards, when you boss up in that way,
oh my gosh,
then you're all types of difficult.
It's crazy. I read things. It's an ongoing joke now with me and my team. I walk in, I go, "Am I as scary as they say I am?" There you go. I learned by the second season. I just learned that it was a template. Right, this is what they do. It's like, okay, now the show is popular. She's out there. What are we gonna say? Difficult. Angry, this, that, toxic, blah, blah, blah. And don't get me wrong, to someone working as hard as we do may be their definition of toxic. I don't know. So I would never tell someone how to feel. And if that's how you feel, I always listen to the staff. I'm there to have the conversation. But if you believe that we are going to give our audience a product that is beneath them, we're not doing that. I mean, we call our audience the TAM fam. I work every day to make sure that when a guest like you come, I said, Charlamagne's coming on. I don't want people just to think that he is a shock jock or whatever their perception. He has layers. He's a husband. He's a dad. That's why we brought you on the show that you were on. Because I sat in a room and said, he's not one-dimensional. I don't want him on for 2 minutes to come on and talk about some headline that he said this about somebody and got into it with somebody. No. I want the audience to know him.
You know, people still come up to me now and talk to me about that episode.
Really?
Because it was an episode about mental health. And people, I mean, random people in the airport. I saw you on Tamron Hall talking about mental health.
And, well, that's interesting because I actually had and I'll take you behind the scenes. I had not a clash, but I had to sit down a producer and say, this is what we're doing with him. Because it was important to show you as the multidimensional human being that you are, not, this guy on the radio that I may or may not have heard of. You are internationally famous. This show is internationally known. But that said, everybody don't know you. So you got to take them through the journey. And so for me, that was important. Now, that might have been a hard segment for that producer to do because it took more time. But it paid off. And they loved the segment. And I was happy you loved the segment and the audience resonated. So, nothing... You don't get to do something easy and just expect there to be rewards. You got to work
She's looking
harder.
at her watch.
I know, you got to go.
No,
Tamron,
no.
damn, that was not damn, Tamron. You could have just said you got to go.
My husband's calling.
Oh, okay, she got there. Okay.
The man who would have jumped in the ocean for me.
Well, we don't
I'm
know
not
this.
answering this.
We don't know.
You know how to swim now, so.
You don't know?
Wow. We don't know. We just don't know.
Why don't we?
You said something earlier that
April Fools and we'll punk them. Like, what is that show? Remember? And we'll say,
No, you said something earlier that made me think because you said it was something about love and fear. And I was like, well, what if fear overpowers love?
I think it's better to be feared.
But I'm saying in that moment, you could love this person, but you're afraid to do it.
He was a lifeguard.
Quit trying to make excuses. You don't even know him.
I can't believe you brought this
I'm
back.
just saying, it's just like, I need to hear both sides. That's all I'm saying.
You need to hear both.
As an objective journalist, I need to hear.
As an opinion journalist, what could he tell you? I was terrified that jumping in as a trained lifeguard to save her, he didn't even have to go reach for me. Maybe just paddle around me and say, babe, it's going to be okay. They're going to pull you out.
What if he threw a rope?
I agree.
A rope?
He should have jumped. No, he should have jumped in. His fiance can't swim. Go get your fiance.
Interesting. What if he throws a rope? Okay.
Grab it.
I'm going to wrap it around my waist. They're going to pull me in? No.
Tamron, before you leave, I have one more question because we know you're looking at your watch.
I'm not looking at my watch. My husband called.
So what do you do when somebody tells you there's a guest coming on and they don't want to talk about a certain topic, right? Do you...
Oh, I think about that. I do because, for example... Some guests don't like talking about exes and they're in a current relationship. I agree with that. I would never have DJ Envy on about another relationship because his wife is there. I always tell people like we'll have a guest on and they'll say, let's ask about, the man she dated 3 years ago that happened to be famous or whatever. And I said, but she's not with him now. Imagine going to a dinner party and I ask you in front of your new guy about the guy 3 times back.
Right.
That's rude.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there's got to be some decency for me, right? I don't want anybody to feel ambushed. I mean, we had Andrew Gillum on. I mean, that was a tough one. And people were mad that I didn't say, well, are you gay? I'm like, why did I need to ask that question? That wasn't, he told me what he wanted me to know, right? And I can still do a thoughtful interview. There are certain things that I'm happy we didn't talk about here. Because it just, I'm not afraid of any answer, but we know we live in a clickbait world, right? And so you both are going to be guests on my show very soon. I could have my team dig up all kinds of, well, once I read on the Shade Room and I saw this and da-da-da. What purpose does that serve any of us? So for me, I want you to feel safe. I want you to feel that there's grace in mistakes. That's why I said with Nick Cannon, being able to get back on air, he deserved that shot. I want to interview Kanye West. I don't agree with some of the incoming traffic that's coming his way. I think people deserve grace. I think they deserve space. But that said, when you have a high-profile individual, they should be prepared to answer tough questions.
Yeah, I thought you gave Andrew a lot of grace, and I liked how you handled that because it didn't feel exploitive.
And that's what I don't want to do, right? And even when people, and you guys do a great job, when folks come in here and they're in the midst of a scandal, they should be prepared. Oprah says, you cannot tell me what to ask you. You are in charge of how you answer it.
Right.
And so I always come in knowing that people might ask me something that I'm not, like I don't fully talk about Prince for a lot of reasons, but I don't. But I'm always prepared for it. So they should be prepared. We're big kids. We're on a big stage. You got a big stage, and if you want to stand on that stage, you got to be ready for the questions. And so that's how I approach the show. Some people have been nasty about it, and I just decline their appearance. I just say, we can't. We can negotiate, and some people will say, oh, I can't talk about it for legal reasons. I know when they're not telling the truth about that. And I'll say, okay, well, what about this? But if there's a hard no and it's of importance to the audience to know, then I would rather pass. And I have said, come back when you're ready to talk.
Okay.
Well, Tamron Hall, we appreciate you for joining us this morning.
Amazing conversation.
Thank you so
That
much.
was
Good to
amazing.
see you.
And congratulations on everything. Two more seasons. The new show, Sunday nights.
Sunday nights, and
TV.
Court TV. I'm super excited about that. The Tamron Hall show, the book. But again, thank you guys. This is my first time. I was a little bit nervous.
Really? Why?
Not scared. Nervous because none of you would jump in the water to save me, and I knew that when I came in this world.
Well, I can't swim.
No. Well, I'm happy because now you're both going to be on.
I'll call 911 and be like, there's going to be an emergency.
We're in the middle of Mexico in the ocean.
That's all I can do.
Angela, I love you. You're going to be on my show soon. DJ Envy, Charlamagne, come back anytime. Thank you so much. And please do not start any static with me and Nick Cannon.
I have nothing to do with that. Whatever comes to this interview is what comes to this interview. All I can do is ask the questions, Tamron.
No,
it's your answer.
Give me my bag like LeBron James. I'm out of here.
It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club. Your mornings will never be the same.
Get going this summer with the best audio entertainment from Audible. Listen to best-selling audiobooks like Me and My Wife's Book, Real Life, Real Love, originals and podcasts, as well as motivation, wellness programs, and the latest tech and business ideas, all in one app. Sign up for 30 days free at audible.com/breakfast club.
Charlamagne, say the gang, don't get other Charlamagne.
You are a donkey.
It's time for Donkey of the Day.
Donkey of the Day does not discriminate. I might not have the song of the day, but I got the Donkey of the Day.
So if you ever feel I need to be a donkey, man, hit it with the heat.
Yeah, it's the Breakfast Club, bitches.
Who's Donkey of the Day today?
Well, Donkey of the Day goes to John F. Kennedy Middle School in Connecticut. In particular, a teacher named Bree Quarton. She's the district's health and physical education coordinator, and superintendent Christopher Dresick. I think I'm pronouncing his last name right now. I have extreme love for public school teachers. Dropping the clues bombs for all the public school teachers out there. Because my mother has been a public school teacher in South Carolina for as long as I've been alive. And I understand the impact that public school teachers have on kids, and I know how hard that job is because you have to truly love it, because it's not like the pay is your incentive. All right, you have to really care for these kids and their well-being. Lesson plans, assignments, all of these things teachers come up with to educate kids. We appreciate you. Drop another clues bomb for teachers, man, public school teachers. We know it's not easy. And in this era of social media, video games, all types of things, just pulling at these kids' attention, cutting through to these children and creating things that can actually appeal to these kids is tough. So I'm not judging. Okay, but as a parent of a middle schooler, I would be concerned about this lesson plan that came out of JFK Middle School. I'm holding it in my hand right now, okay? And the title is Pizza and Consent. Okay, basically kids at JFK middle school in Connecticut were instructed to use pizza as a metaphor for sex and asked to cite their favorite toppings. For example, cheese was for kissing and olives were for giving oral. Basically, they compared ordering a pizza to receiving consent. I can't make this kind of stuff up. Listen to Eric Sanzi, Director of Outreach for Parents Defending Education. She did an interview with ABC 7 KATV to describe the assignment.
The assignment started out with a sentence that said, yes, pizza can be a metaphor for sex. And then it went on to explain that just like when friends have to agree on pizza toppings when they're sharing a pizza, that people need to agree on what they're willing to do and not do in terms of consent. And so they decided to have the students list their sexual likes and dislikes and then draw them on a pizza as pizza toppings. Now, again, these are 8th graders, and it's important to keep in mind, under 15% of 8th graders have had sex. So they're being asked very personal questions on a topic that many of them are totally inexperienced with and likely uncomfortable talking about in school.
This is middle school. How many toppings do you think I've had on my pizza in middle school? Now I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I enjoy a great conspiracy theory. And Pizzagate was a great conspiracy theory. You remember Pizzagate, don't you? The false allegation that the Clintons used the Comet Ping Pong Pizza restaurant in Washington, D.C. as a front for a pedophile sex ring, and the back room was supposedly used for kidnapping and trafficking children. Okay, now, of course, all of this was proven to be false, but it made a lot of noise, all right? The owner of Comet Ping Pong and his staff received death threats. People protested outside of the restaurant. A guy actually went in the restaurant and fired a gun at an employee. See, these fake stories be having real-world consequences, okay? People believe these conspiracy theories, and when you promote these false and reckless conspiracy theories, bad things happen. I'm saying all that to say JFK Middle School in Connecticut has done nothing but contributed to that conspiracy theory. I don't even know if Pizzagate is still a thing, but this right here is going to resurrect it. All right, listen, my daughter is in 8th grade. She's 13. These kids are watching shows like Euphoria. These kids have social media. These kids talk amongst each other. Do you remember when you were 13, 12, 11, whatever age we were in middle school, we was already talking about sex in a real way. So I can only imagine with all the access these kids have now, what their conversations are like. So you don't need stunts like this. Just talk to the kids, okay? Just talk to them, all right? Listen, let me read y'all some of this. This is why they use the metaphor for sex. They say when you order your pizza with friends, everyone checks in about each other's preferences. Some people might be vegan. Some people might be gluten-free. Others might love pineapple, while others prefer pepperoni. Some might not like pizza at all. If you're a vegetarian, but your friend is a meat lover, sharing a pizza is going to bring up a lot of issues. You don't know who you can share your pizza with unless you ask. Okay, didn't they say the same goes with sex? No. What are they talking about? The metaphor doesn't make no sense. The correlation makes no sense. You have to check in with your partners and ask for their preferences. Your partner might be comfortable with one sexual activity but not another. Maybe your partners only want to be touched a certain way, or maybe your partners prefer to use certain language, or maybe they don't want to have sex at all. You'll never know your wants, desires, and you'll never know if your wants, desires, and boundaries are compatible with theirs unless you ask. No. I don't want y'all asking my daughter about any of that. And once again, furthermore, how many toppings do you think these kids have had in middle school? Middle school, I would hope these kids are virgins. Okay, just plain cheese pizzas. Matter of fact, no cheese, no tomato sauce, just raw dough, that hasn't even been put in the oven yet. All right? Amanda, who is a parent from that school district, took to social media to express her disgust with the assignment. Let's listen to Amanda.
Just last week, a school assignment in JFK labeled Pizza and Consent was sent out for students. What's pizza got to do with it, you wonder? We can use pizza as a metaphor for sex. Those are the first 2 lines of this assignment, which is centered around establishing consent and boundaries. Except for page 2, where it takes it one step further and states, now that you know the metaphor for sex, let's explore your preference. Draw and color your favorite type of pizza. Mirror these preferences in relation to sex. Here are some examples. Likes, cheese equals kissing. Dislikes, olives equals giving oral. Since when has it become acceptable for a teacher to ask a student what their sexual wants, desires, and boundaries are? Maybe our board members would like to answer this assignment and share their thoughts, just like our 8th grade students were requested to do.
Now, of course, the school is currently backtracking. Superintendent Christopher Dresick says it was a mistake and the assignment had been inadvertently sent to the students. Basically, they are claiming they sent the pizza to the wrong house. Okay, he said while the assignment was inappropriate, there was no hidden agenda. He said while addressing the parents, there was no secret cabal to indoctrinate kids on something. Let me tell you, man, if, you have to explain that there's no secret cabal to indoctrinate kids, if a school superintendent has to explain that, all right, then my kids might be in the wrong school, all right? An explanation like that is just, I don't know, man. I just feel like this assignment is prompting kids to become sexually active before their time. And what does pizza have to do with consent? I still don't even know that. All right, choosing what to put on your pizza when you are ordering with a group is hard enough by itself. Now you're trying to make it a metaphor for sex? And even after it's been explained, I still don't know what any of this has to do with consent. All right? Just talk to these kids. They're young adults. Speak to them as such. I promise they can handle it. But pizza as a metaphor for consent, they cannot. And what's the topping for anal? Huh? Please give John F. Kennedy Middle School in Connecticut the biggest hee-haw.
My kids ain't eating pizza no more.
That's what you got out of that? That's what you got out of that?
That's what I got out of that.
That's what you got out of that?
Chicken fingers and french fries all day long.
Jesus Christ.
The Breakfast Club. Power 105.1. The Breakfast Club. Your mornings will never be the same.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building, Ricky Lake.
The legend.
The legend.
Oh, you're too kind. Good morning. Nice to see you. Oh, well, funny you should mention that. I'm doing a new show where I'm doing a podcast with my old show called Raised by Ricky. Yeah,
wow.
What do you think?
I think that's a great idea. I just realized what the concept is just now when you said it, because I just thought it was going to be, you doing a podcast, talking about current events, but you're reliving the show.
Yeah, we're going to go back in time and break down these episodes.
Wow.
I mean, because, Lemonada Media is an amazing podcast company. These women are badasses. And they approached me. And I've been asked to do a podcast, as everyone has over the years. And I was like, no. Abby Epstein, my partner, and I.
Good morning,
we
Abby.
talked about
Good
morning. My filmmaking partner. I'm so happy she's here. But no, this concept, something about, first of all, this year's 30 years that I did the pilot of the Ricky Lake Show.
Jesus Christ,
So I was 23 years old when I did the pilot. I'm now 53. So, it was really interesting to me. I think what we were able to do back then, I didn't think of it at the time as groundbreaking, but the issues we were able to cover, the way we treated gay people, the way we treated mixed race couples, the way we, it was just, we covered a lot of bases. And I think it'll be really interesting to go back with the lens of now, where we are now. Have we made progress? Have we gone backwards? And we're going to have a co-host that's Gen Z, that's probably, someone who's non-binary, certainly a person of color, and who didn't grow up with me, and kind of tell the story and bring back old guests, old experts, and I think it'll be a lot of fun.
You know what I love about shows like Ricky Lake, even Donahue back in the day, even early Oprah? Y'all sat down with people you had differences with. You sat down with people you may not have agreed with. Nowadays, if you do that, they'll call you problematic.
Yes.
I don't understand that.
I don't either. I mean, and that's why I'm glad I don't have the show that I had back then now. It just feels like you're walking on eggshells no matter what you do. You're going to piss someone off. And yeah, I just think it's going to be a cool experiment. I mean, I think we're all nostalgic for that time, the 90s, and I'm up for it.
No, I'd love to see you and Arsenio do that.
Arsenio?
Yeah, I would love to see that. I'd love to see that.
Oh, God.
No, before we didn't ask one question.
What's that?
How are you?
I'm amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I am the best me I have ever been, which is like I did that show and my name was on the rug and I didn't really have a sense of who I was. And I think in making these documentaries that I've been making with Abby for more than 15 years, I've really come into a place of like knowing who my voice and what I believe in and what I stand for. And I've now, gone dark. I lost my partner 5 years ago to bipolar and suicide. But I've now, 5 years later, met the man of my dreams, and I just got married 2 months ago.
Congrats.
I'm living my best life. Thank you so much.
How are you, Abby?
I'm so good. I'm so happy to be with this woman. We just had our double feature premiere last night, and we watched this movie we made 14 years ago in the same theater that it premiered in at the IFC Center. Business of Being Born. And we just both sat there with my son, who's now 15, who was born in the movie.
Wow.
And like we had chills the whole time, because we were watching this going, I can't believe that we made this in 2008. It still holds up.
It was powerful.
I was going to say, let's start from the beginning. Before you guys met, what made you start the Ricky Lake Show? You were only 24 years old. What made you think, this is what I want to do?
You want to know the honest truth?
Absolutely.
It was the job that came along.
Honestly, I had been a guest. You guys are younger than me, but I was
Not
a
by
guest. Well, I'm 53, and I did Hairspray when I was 18, and David Letterman was a big fan of John Waters, and so he would have me on over and over again, kind of like Sandra Bernhard back then. And it was from those appearances that they thought of me. They were this guy Garth Ancier was a kind of media whiz. He wanted to do a younger show because he looked at Oprah and Donahue, and they were skewing over 55. So they wanted to do something to skew towards younger women, primarily women 18 to 34, 18 to 49. So they went on a search, and I was one of 100 women at that time. I went and flirted with 3 gay guys. I didn't know they were gay, but I just brought out my skills, and they gave me the pilot. And I was like so broke at that time. I was living in a pool house in the valley north of Victory, if anybody knows where that is. No one spoke English, and I was kind of couldn't get my agent to call me back, and I got this opportunity. I was like, all right, I'll do it for $5,000. I needed my rent paid for a year, and I'll do it for that. Luckily, we renegotiated, and it turned into this phenomenon, and it wasn't a calculated move. Every step of my career, including the business of being born, is never coming from a place of like seeing the big picture. It's really about, all right, that sounds good. I could do it. So I think I have this confidence in me and also this naivety, and it's worked out.
So the first time you got $5,000 to do the show?
Well, yeah, I did. But the first season, so then my agent did get involved, and they packaged the show, of course.
The first season was $5,000?
No, the pilot.
Oh, okay.
The pilot was initially, that was my opening bid, was I'll do it for $5,000. And then the first year, my salary, I don't remember what it was, but at the end of the first year, the show was such a huge success. This is 1993. They gave me a bonus of $500,000.
Wow.
Really?
Yes.
A lot of money in 93.
That was a lot of money
now.
for Ricky Lake. Like, I was broke. My house was foreclosed at that time. Yeah, I was needing that money. And it was, that show, it was just my life. Like, I didn't have the concept. Like, I'm 24 years old. I don't even know who I am. Who, like the audacity to get on that stage and moderate these panels. But I think looking back at it, I was the perfect kind of person for that role because I was a good listener. I was very forthcoming about my own, hardships. I'm curious. I'm so fascinated by people. I don't judge people. And so I think
you're so real. You're so real. Anybody who meets Ricky, any of my friends, anyone who meets Ricky in 5 minutes, they go, that woman has the biggest heart. And she's just so real. Like, you don't meet a lot of celebrities that are like that anti-celebrity quality. And I think that's really what worked on that show.
Yeah, the show was a party. It was just like, the people that came to our show, they waited months and months and months to get tickets back then. And it was always surprising. I mean, it was a little formulaic, I have to admit. Like, I knew from the names, I could tell, okay, this is a black story. The first guests were always the most outrageous, and then we'd have the white story, and then we'd balance it out. But I feel like we did do a lot of good. Like, we definitely saw people, and many times at their worst. But I feel like I treated everyone equally. I treated everyone with compassion, and it was a good time.
You said something earlier that was interesting. You said, it says a lot, right, about what women had to go through because you're obviously talented. But you said you had to flirt with the executives to get.
I don't think it was a prerequisite. It was just it was my MO.
Yeah. But I mean, did women feel that way, or was that just?
Well, I wasn't even I was very heavy set, and I wore a big flower hat probably. I mean, I didn't have a game. I didn't have any game back then. Yeah. But I knew how to be charming and appealing, and it worked. It worked in my favor. But yeah, that's the only game I know.
I was going to ask, how did you guys meet? Creating this business. How was that?
So funny. You tell them.
Okay. So I was directing a show. Do you remember the show, The Vagina Monologues?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? That was also started in the
was that
late
HBO?
90s.
No,
they made an HBO. Yeah,
Okay,
HBO did a special, but it was a play off Broadway, ran for a really long time. And so originally we had 3 actresses that would rotate every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, 3 celebrities would come in and I would put them into the play. And Ricky came in one week. And like I said, she's so real, like most of these celebrities, you know what I mean? I don't really want to get drinks with them after. I just want to do my job and go home. And then Ricky and I rode the bus home together. And she just had me on the floor. Like, she just had me at hello. And so we met. And then I guess this was years later.
We met in 99 or 2000. I got pregnant with my second son. And then I was wanting a home birth. I was getting educated about my options. And so I was telling her, and she's like, you're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy. And then I got divorced. 9/11 was a huge turning point for me where I was living downtown. And I thought we were going to die. I watched the second plane hit the building, and in that moment of being on the roof of my building with my 4-year-old, and I had a 2-month-old at the time, I said, I'm leaving. If I get out of this, alive, I'm leaving New York, I'm leaving this job, and I'm leaving this man.
Wow.
And I moved to LA. It took a year and a half. I had to finish my contract. I didn't end up quitting my show per se, but I didn't renew my contract back then. And I wanted to start a new life, and that's when I started soul searching about what I wanted to do, where I could make a difference, and we made the business of being born. But I had her come out. I said, you got to come out and see my fat house in Brentwood. Come over and see my new life.
Yeah, I basically stopped at her new house on my way back to LAX, missed my flight because we started talking. And I had made one documentary at that point about violence against women, and I knew how to roughly make a documentary. And she was like, I have this idea for this project. It's about midwifery and home birth. And I was like, this does not sound commercial. This does not sound like a hot seller. I had no idea what a midwife was. And then she whipped out her little video camera.
My 9-hour home birth video on my little, camcorder, and I gave it to her. And I said, here, I hadn't even watched it. I gave it to her and gave her a couple of books. And she came back and she goes, I think we can make a documentary. And then the magic of this film, it took 3.5 years to make, is she got pregnant 2 years into the making of the film. And then her story, her dramatic story of her birth is the end of the film.
That was intense last night when we were watching it again. And Ricky's there with her new husband, Ross, who's never seen the movie. I'm there with my son, who's born in the movie, who's never seen the movie. My ex is sitting in front of me. It was and he shot the movie. I mean, it was really intense. But yeah, so we both give birth essentially in that movie. So it's a really rare kind of documentary where it's a personal piece about the filmmakers, and then it's also a very political piece, and it's still so relevant.
What took so long for it to come out?
Oh, 3.5 years? Because that's how long they make.
No, this one that we just released last night, The Business of Birth Control, took 7 years.
That's what I'm saying. What took so long?
7.
That's how long
We started it in 2015. Because 2015, first of all, you guys, nobody wants to give you any money to talk about.
That's a fact.
And especially if you're like, oh, we want to talk about women's health. Yeah, we want to talk about how crappy the birth control pill is. Yeah, I don't think I want to fund that. I mean, it's controversial. There's no celebrity in it.
And Big Pharma has their hands on everything. So for us to get it into sort of mainstream media, there's all this backlash,
Yeah, you're
Coach
not going to get...
Coach Jesse's, I know, friend of your show, and she's heavily in our film.
She's in the movie. We love her. But this message, it's Netflix, HBO, they're not going to make this movie with us. There's no way. With what we want to say in the business of birth control, there's no way. So, you start in 2015, you do a Kickstarter. You get a little chunk of money, you make a sizzle reel, and then we did this movie, Weed the People, in 2018. So we had another movie in the middle of the movie.
And that's about cannabis. That's about cannabis.
That's about cannabis and children with cancer. And then, it takes a while. And also because when you're making these films take so much work, right? But they're also your side hustle in a way. Nobody's paying you, at the time. So you're just working on them when you can.
A little at a time, right?
Yeah, they're just passion projects.
They are passion projects, for sure.
They always come out at the right time. I think the business of birth control releasing now, this is the moment for it.
Yeah, especially with women's, reproductive rights, being stripped away by these GOP people. So,
So what is the business of birth control?
In the same way, did you ever see The Business of Being Born?
No, I haven't.
I urge you to, because it's really, we take a hard look at what birth, the birthing world, the medical system when it comes to birth. And the same thing, we look at the pill, the history of the pill, the racist piece of it. Did you know that they tested the drug, the pill, initially on black and brown women in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, I mean, I think that at the end of the day, it's sort of you can equate the business of birth control to, in a way, the opiate epidemic. It's really profits over people. It's the way, we know women's bodies have been co-opted and controlled and exploited for years. So like Ricky was saying, the film covers a lot of ground. It's truly mind-blowing. I think people sit there for 90 minutes and they're like, I didn't know any of this shit. I literally didn't know anything in your movie. So one thing is we look at some of the products that are out there, like the NuvaRing, that's had a lot of women die on it.
And you never hear about any of that.
You never hear about any of it because you get gag orders when you accept settlements. So when the drug company settles with all these victims, they're then not allowed to do any promotion. So the stories in our film are the families who wouldn't
didn't
settle.
they
They
didn't
didn't
take
take the money because they want to change the labeling on these products. They don't want other girls to die. So we tell that story. And then like Ricky was saying, we look back in time over the way birth control has been tied into eugenics, the way that it's always been used to, weaponize basically against communities of color, how obstetrics was literally founded on slavery in Africa. The pill was tested on women in Puerto Rico, and on and on and on. And then we also look at, in a positive way, we look at this new generation that does not want to take the pill that their grandmothers took. They're woke, they're ecological. They don't want to put, hormones, endocrine disruptors in their body. And so if the pharmaceutical companies aren't going to come along with like healthier options, they're going to make them up. We're going to invent them. So you look at all these cool femtech entrepreneurs, and in a way, I think, the younger generation, it's like they're kind of a do-it-yourself generation. They're not going to rely on these big companies. And so, we look at all the innovation that's happening, which is super cool.
Did it explore any of Margaret Sanger?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And that happened during the making of the film.
It
They
happened
removed
during
her
the
name.
film, which was interesting. Yeah, so originally, I remember like Gloria Steinem saw an early cut, and everyone was worried about that Margaret Sanger legacy. Like, oh, you're going to take her down. I think we're really fair to her in the movie. But then at the end of the movie, we show an update about how Planned Parenthood New York City took her name off the clinic. So that it's not so like Planned Parenthood finally had to come out and say, let's be transparent. Like, we cannot be identified with our founder. So again, that's why I think the timing of the movie was so good, because I think having that conversation about Margaret Sanger 5 years ago
Wouldn't have happened.
Like, we would have gotten a lot of pushback.
Yeah, my wife doesn't like birth control. That's why I got to get a vasectomy now. Because we just had our fourth daughter.
Bless
She's
you.
6 months old.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Congrats.
she refuses to get back on birth control because it makes her sick. She hates it.
Yeah.
It's awful. Like, all the options are terrible. And you go out there and talk to anybody, and they will tell you their birth control journey, and they'll tell you every product they used and how depressed it made them, or how they lost their sex drive, or how they got
In
fat.
my case, I had hair loss. I don't know if you know, I shaved my head a couple
absolutely.
years ago. I was
Remember
dealing with my hair is pretty much, it came back, but I attribute
Also, that was because of the birth control.
Well, that's part of it. I mean, I think it's a lot of
Yeah.
things. I was putting extensions in my hair. I was coloring my hair. I was stressed about my hair. I have androgenetic alopecia, which is the genetic hair loss over years. Yeah, it was all of the above, but definitely
if you
birth
mess with
control.
your hormones, think about it, And it's like what we say in the film is like sometimes now these kids are getting put on 12, 13 years old for acne, for cramps, like you'll see with your daughters, it's like you got to make these decisions, right? When you have like a 13-year-old, 14-year-old that's like, oh, but my period cramps are so bad. And then the doctor's saying, well, just put her on the pill. That'll take care of everything. That's how they treat everything.
Wow.
And that's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it for the new generation. So I think it's like, two things. One is there's a lot of things that people are getting put on the pill for that have nothing to do with birth control, right? Acne, fibroids, PCOS, right? So we need actual treatments for these conditions.
We need studies to happen on women.
Studies, yeah. And then, we need to be more educated about the menstrual cycle so that there's other ways to intervene and relieve cramps or whatever the issues are. Because what's happening is these girls are going on at like 12, 13, 14. They're not really, their hormones are not really developing. They're on something that's cut, like basically putting them into menopause at 13.
Yikes.
And they're staying on it. Then they stay on it for maybe 10, 20 years. I mean, these drugs were not designed or FDA approved to be on for 20
long-term
years.
use.
Yikes.
Did you know that when you're on these drugs, it changes your pheromones?
Yes.
It changes who you're attracted to. They do this T-shirt test that was out of Sweden or something?
Scotland, yeah. So it's actually your pheromones. It's like how you can smell out attraction, right? So how if you like have sex with certain people, you like their smell, you don't like their smell, right? That smell is actually giving your body information about their DNA. It's actually telling you whether you're going to make healthy offspring with that person.
Wow.
And when you go on these birth control products, it takes that like animal sense offline. So you can't smell anymore. So they say, like, for women, the line is you're going to be attracted to someone who's more like brother than other. So you're attracted to more maybe kind of feminine men, men that don't have that kind of opposite polarity.
Mm-hmm.
And so you hear this a lot anecdotally, right? That women either are with a partner, decide they need some protection, go on the pill, suddenly they're not attracted anymore. Or the opposite.
Or the opposite. When they go off to family plan, they suddenly are not into their guy.
Oh, y'all about to make YouTube conspiracy theater go crazy. YouTube conspiracy is about to go crazy. So listen, can it help you? Can it make you change your gender you like as well?
No.
Oh, no.
Oh,
no.
Okay. All right, they won't go that crazy.
I wouldn't say that.
Now, you talk about your hair condition. So how did you get your hair back healthy?
So so I think it's a lot of things. Like I said, I don't stress anymore. I mean, when I shaved my head in grand fashion at the turn of 2020, I mean, I did it in a way, like, can you curse on this show?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I said, fuck it. Like, I was so done with struggling about my hair. It was my deep, dark secret. Every time I looked in the mirror, I could see my scalp, and it just drove me crazy. And the extensions were pulling. I'm sure much of your audience knows what that's like. It was painful, and it was because I was a public figure and because I'm so outspoken and honest and authentic. This was this piece of myself that I was hiding, and I just decided, all right, I'm going to rock a bald head. I don't know how it's going to look. My friends were telling me, don't worry, you can do it. You're going to be able to pull it off. And I just did it and gave up. And then I came into finding this product that I'm now an ambassador of. I've never taken an endorsement in my 30-plus year career. It's called Heart Clinic, and it's a shampoo and extract and something about the fermentation. I can't explain it, but it's non-toxic, and it's helped my hair to be as healthy as it can be.
Now, you know where I'm going next. Were you offended by Chris Rock's joke towards Jada Pinkett Smith?
I mean, I was more offended by his actions. It's like by Will Smith's actions. Okay. I mean, like I used to say on my old show, violence is never the answer. And the fact that it went to that extreme, I mean, nothing that comes out of anyone's mouth justifies a physical altercation. But I also did feel for Jada in that moment because I would hate to be the butt of that joke if someone were, and that was one of my fears when I did shave my head. Like I didn't know what the reaction would be, and I couldn't think that far ahead. But I was so scared of people making fun of me or calling me names. So it definitely struck a nerve for me because I think women suffering with that condition, it's not funny.
What if he didn't know?
I think there's a lot to the story. I mean, we're all speculating, but I think there was a history with them and the Oscars. So I don't know. I mean, I saw this morning that her reaction to the slap after the slap, she sort of smiled. I mean, we don't know, but I know for me personally, definitely a joke about a woman's hair loss is not funny.
So how have you been doing mentally? Because we talk about a lot of the things, right? We talk about your husband that took his life and the hair loss and everything that you've been going through. How have you been doing? And how have you been coping?
Well, now I'm literally in the happiest place in my entire life, which says a lot because I've been a really happy person. I've had a blessed, abundant life and career. My kids are great. I mean, that's really the start. It's like you're only as happy as your least happy child. And both my kids and my 4 stepchildren are all great right now. And my new husband is just a dream. So I feel like I've been given a second lease on life. After losing Christian, I mean, I never thought I could be as low as that. I mean, the level of despair. I had to be literally physically picked up off the floor. And I remember, this was just 5 years ago. I would force myself. I had a dog, and I would force myself to walk outside at the beach and smile at the sun and find gratitude, find something to be grateful for. And there were dark, dark days. I never thought I'd be in a place of peace and happiness. And I really am. Like I said when we first started, it's like I feel like I'm the best me that I've ever been. I really know myself. I really love myself. I've through this journey of shaving my head, and that was a badass move. And I came out of it okay, So like all of it has been a journey. I'm 53, and I guess when you turn 50, you kind of get a sense of who you are, and also you don't care what people think as much. Right. Yeah, I don't really care what people think of me. I know my side of the street is clean. I'm a good person, and I appreciate every day. So to answer your question, I'm great.
How does one allow themselves to love again and be loved after something like that?
I've always felt that I've been like deserving of love. I think I chose partners that either were physically a certain way, so I felt better about myself. I chose partners that needed me, so I saw my value in that. They needed fixing or they needed taken care of. This is the first time in my entire life, and I've had many. This is my 3rd marriage where I'm with someone who's my equal, who brings as much to the relationship as I bring, and that I think comes down to like self-worth and self-love.
Was there any guilt? Because I'm sure people will say to you, "Oh, 5 years, that wasn't long," but who are they to say that?
Oh, yeah.
That was a long 5 years.
It was a long 5 years, and I don't care what anybody has to say. Like I continue to honor this man that I lost. I mean, he was my greatest teacher to this day. He's my greatest teacher. Christian Evans was so special and so ill. And I didn't even know what bipolar was when I got with him. I'd never experienced it. He told me when we met, he's like, "Oh, I was diagnosed bipolar." And I was like, "Oh yeah, and I'm a control freak. We all have our things." I didn't understand what a manic episode was. And so, with Kanye, I mean, I just know that to be the loved one going through that, and losing Christian the way I did. I mean, for me, the trauma was the first episode versus the suicide, because seeing your loved one change on a dime and become so destructive and so like just someone I didn't recognize. But I've done a lot of work in these 5 years, and I think also with Ross, my husband now, I mean, it's like I deserve him. It's really like I know my value, and I really just I called him in. I manifested him, and I relish this time in my life and this relationship.
You've lived all the big pop culture stories of the past 30 days. Like literally.
I have. I mean, it's all true. So sort of it resonates. I mean, the Oscars. Like I was going on Monday. I did a promotional for this hair company that I've been working with, and it's the night before that happened with the Joe. It's just it feels like my life is a movie. It really is.
It's so true. You have lived them all, and also, she speaks about them. Like she's gone to give talks on mental health, and and I think that's it's. I think just being a witness to what she went through with Christian, that kind of bipolarity. It is so tricky. It is so tricky because it doesn't present as an illness. Like it sometimes presents first as if the person's actually doing great, because you don't realize that they're ascending toward that mania. So it's you can't intervene. You can't tell somebody, "Oh, I think you're a little," It was an impossible situation. It was like you guys did everything, tried everything, therapy, drugs. I mean,
that's what's super frustrating to
everybody
have
dealing with
the
this.
Resources, to have the money. And I tried to save him. I saved him twice, and I couldn't save him a third time. Wow. And I'm a fixer. I'm someone that like really does create and I couldn't, and it was really, really hard to come to terms with that.
I'd love to hear some of those practices you talked about. I'm big on mental health and mindfulness, and I heard you say you manifested Ross. Like, what are some of the things you do on a daily?
I mean, no, on a daily. I was going to mention ayahuasca. I do not do that on the daily.
I want to. I can't. Not on the daily, but I can't wait to do it. It's calling me. They say don't do it until it's calling you.
Yeah, calling exactly. Me. It has to be a calling. And the first time I did it with Christian, and I did it because he was doing it, and I didn't want him to do it without me. That is not the reason to do it. It was a horrible experience. But I've done it now about 14 times over a period of the last 10 years. And
what does it feel like for people that don't know?
Well, it's awful. It's going to hell and back.
Really?
I mean, it's literally going to the darkest. I mean, oh my gosh! And every time has been so different. I did it back in Ibiza. I did it in Northern California. I did it in Topanga. I've done it all over. And mostly my intention. You have to set an intention, and my intention to do it was letting go. And I did it twice after Christian passed away. And you get these messages, you get these downloads, and you see God. I mean, you see God. It is one time in particular that I was with Christian. I was up in Northern California under the redwoods, and we were outside. And it was during the day. It was the only time I ever did it in daylight. And I remember just being on the ground, like praying, bowing, and I could literally see and feel the earth's heartbeat in my hands pulsating. And I have just talking about it brings you back. I mean, it's medicine. They say you do 10 years of therapy in one night of ayahuasca. And I think that's true.
I remember the plant, that was the time the plant told you, let him go.
Yes, you have to let him go. You have to let him go. I mean, it's been, I'm not called to do it again right now, but I certainly, it's very powerful medicine. I've also done combo. I've done that twice. I'm like a seeker. Combo is the frog poison.
Oh,
right?
toad.
No, it's not the
It's not toad.
5-MeO-DMT. It's
Okay.
what they burn your skin, the top layer of your skin, and they put the medicine in, and it does a scan. It's supposedly be the strongest natural antibiotic. And it can heal you from so many different ailments. So I'm like a seeker. I'm curious, and I'm always up for growth. So I'm trying to think of the other things I've done. What have I done? Oh, Burning Man. I started going to Burning Man. What's Burning Man?
You do.
I don't know what Burning Man
But
is.
you're joking.
Burning Man feels like White Freaknik.
It is for everyone.
Burning Man?
It is. Burning Man is a. I
festival
can't
in
say
the
a festival.
desert.
It is not a festival. It is a city that
Community.
takes place over a week. You have never heard of Burning Man?
I have. All my friends, I'm going to go to Burning Man.
Best place in the world. I'm going. I'm bringing.
You heard of Burning Man?
You never heard of Burning Man?
Oh my goodness! You need to Google it, my friend. It's
Like Bob Pittman, all of them go every year.
Yeah,
Like-
I know Bob
Yeah.
and Veronique, and I mean it's a place where you go and you are in that moment. You are present. You are free. You engage with people. It's a city. There's no exchange of currency or anything. You bring gifts, but you give gifts, and you don't do it for anything other than giving. It's people are at their highest vibe at Burning Man.
Well, it's a place where they call drugs medicines. That's all you need to know.
But you don't have to
That's
do
my
drugs.
house.
You do not. They have AA meetings on the playa. You do not have to
I'm
do
kidding,
anything you don't want to do. But it's like magic happens on the playa. I don't know. I guess I'm sounding too.
No, I'm going to
cuckoo
go one
for
day.
you.
My homie Andrew Schultz goes all the time. He was like, you got to come meet a Burning Man one year. I'm going to go one year.
If you're called to do it, I urge you to go.
I haven't been
I'll
called
see
to
you on
do
playa.
that, so, yeah. I've been called to do ayahuasca, but not Burning Man.
Let me just tell you, the playa is a lot more fun.
Yeah.
What is playa? Is a
The
plant-based
playa,
substance?
no, the playa is for Burning Man. They call it. That's the desert. Yeah, the
Gotcha.
land. Yeah.
Now, you did 12 seasons of the Ricky Lake.
11.
11 seasons.
Oh, well, 11, and then I went back and did a new version of the show.
Yes.
That only ran for 1 year, but I won the Emmy that year.
And you said you walked away from it?
I did, the first show. I just
Okay.
didn't renew. Yeah, I mean, it had kind of run its course. 9/11 had happened. I wanted to get out of New York. I was going through a divorce. I mean, it just kind of fell apart. I mean, Maury just ended his show. I mean, I feel like I could have had a run like that.
No,
not
your
I'm glad.
personality.
No. I love Maury, but 11 years was enough for the first show. The second show, I wanted to do more of a Donahue type show. That was my concept. I wanted to be elevated content, more provocative and thought provoking, and it didn't turn out to be that.
What was the difference between the first run and the second run? Because like you said, you won an Emmy
One
for
was
the second
successful. I don't know. The first one. I mean, I think the timing of the first one and being in New York at that time was magic. You know, the second one. I was in bed with the wrong company, I think. The executive that was in charge of my production. We had different visions. He wanted a different type of show than I wanted to do. And it goes back to making the business of being born with Abby. I kind of have a sense of who I am in a way that I didn't back then. And so it was just, in bed with the
You
wrong
did
person.
some good shows, though. You really did.
We did.
on
We
the
did.
new
I actually did a
season.
show on suicide, which is so interesting
good
because I didn't have a history. Like I didn't know that at the time, but I was called to do it, and I fought so hard. He said it was never going to rate. It was never going to, and I felt like we needed to do it, and it was one of the shows I'm really proud of.
Wow. How difficult is it for any person to have a successful daytime talk show?
Oh my God, I think it's near impossible. I mean, in the time that I did my show, 11 years, and we used to go to the NATB convention every year, and there'd be, half a dozen new shows come and go, and they'd last for, not very long. I think it's a rare talent. Like, it's like, I don't think it's something that was taught to me. I think it was like a natural fit, for me.
But it's a unique relationship, I think, that you have with the world. More than being an actor on a TV show, I feel like because Ricky was in everybody's living room and people ran home from school at 3 o'clock every day to watch Ricky Lake, like literally, I can see just from traveling the world with her, like we'll be in some hotel lobby in Australia and like 10 gay men will come up to her like sobbing, and say, oh my God, you validated us and you don't know what you meant. And I think that they have a different relationship with her just because the nature of that show. It's like she was the perspective of the audience. You know what I mean? Like she was sort of your lens into this like world of madness. So it's interesting to see. I've never really seen anybody where it's kind of like her fans appreciate her in a way. Like yesterday, we're walking down the street and people are screaming her name down the street in New York. That's Ricky Lake. I saw you on Wendy Williams this morning. Hi, Ricky. Hi, Ricky. Like she just feels approachable, more approachable in that way, because I think we lose sense of how many people grew up on her. Like it was one of the original formats.
And I think the 90s, celebrity actually meant something in the 90s.
Yes.
It doesn't anybody
seems like a
you
celebrity
can lick
now.
you can lick the bottom of a toad's foot now and be a TikTok star. You know what I'm saying? Like celebrity meant something in the 90s.
And it feels like everyone or a lot of people have an agenda. Like it's whether to sell a product or push some, and I guess in a way we are pushing but our thing is to help women.
Our
like
documentary.
Our documentary.
Our big...
But celebrity has changed. I agree, and just the tone that like I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know if you ever like second guess what you're about to say for fear of like backlash or something. But I feel like I was able to say. I didn't have to like censor myself before I say it.
Getting canceled.
Yeah, we've been canceled a million times. We've been doing it for 12 years, so it's like things have changed over the past 12 years.
But has it shifted in these 12 years?
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's things that they try to go back and cancel us for. But when we said it back then, it was nothing.
Right.
So it's just that's the weirdest part to me.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to have the conversation about how culture shifted.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to hold people accountable for things they said in public forums 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Culture shifted.
Exactly.
Right.
And I felt like that last night when we watched both our movies back to back, and we were watching this movie we made 14 years ago, and I'm a little nervous watching it, just for that reason, because you're sitting there like, oh, did we have enough people of color in the movie? Oh, God, we just said something about Britney Spears in the movie. Things that like today might not fly.
I was going to ask, we always talk about the Mount Rushmore of things, Mount Rushmore of comedians. What's your Mount Rushmore of talk show hosts?
Okay, Oprah for sure. Oprah. Donahue. I loved Donahue back in the day.
I loved Arsenio. I watched him every night.
Can we do late night too? We can talk late night?
Oh, sorry.
Let's keep it daytime.
Oh, he
Daytime.
did. Okay, daytime. Let me think. Oh my God, throw some names at me and I'll tell you what I think of them.
Oprah Donahue's a good start. You got two.
Yeah.
Two more.
I mean, Sally,
Jesse Raphael. Wow.
Montel.
Montel was a good guy too.
You just did that show with him, remember?
Yeah. I mean, there's more, but I'm like, there were so many. Come on.
You just did that reunion on Tamron Hall. Who was there?
Oh, that was Rolanda was there and Montel was there.
Rolanda, yeah. When Tamron was up here like last week, and she said your name and Rolanda, and I was like, Rolanda. I mean, of course. I didn't think of Rolanda. I hadn't heard that name in a while. I was like, oh, shit, Rolanda.
I mean, Tempest Bledsoe had a show. Carney Wilson had a show. I mean,
that's right.
Yeah, everyone
Were
had
those
a talk
successful?
show. No, I don't think so. I think they only ran for a year.
Latifah, she had a show too. Right?
Queen Latifah, yep. I mean, yesterday I went and did the Wendy Williams show without Wendy Williams, but it was in my old studio.
Oh, wow.
So, I hadn't been back there in 15 years, 16 years, something like that.
I think that was Montel's old studio too, right?
Yeah, Montel. Maury was there too. It's the 26th Street Studios. But yeah, it's all just it just feels like these chapters in my life. And now with this new podcast I'm going to do, I get to go back. And I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I wonder with the Raised by Ricky podcast, what did it make you miss most about doing the Ricky Lake Show?
The money. The money.
You look back at it like I'm so mad I turned down that money.
She's so real.
It was funny money. I didn't even like getting a bonus of $500,000. Come on.
That's like the budget of our entire documentary.
It was crazy.
Were you smart with your money, or did you?
I'm okay. Yes, okay. I'm just fine. Thank you.
What's
but
the
believe me,
thing you bought?
Crypto.
Really?
But that's not crazy. I don't think that's crazy at all. I got
crazy.
in relatively early, 2017.
Oh, you got in early. So you're doing super well.
Mama went big.
My guy calls me his, Bitcoin wife. Counting my Bitcoin. No, like a 9 cow. My guy was an ex-devout Mormon, so he brings up these Mormon. Anyway, it's
you did well.
I did okay. I did not do like Oprah. Oh, I love Rosie O'Donnell too. Rosie's a great friend of mine and a great talk show host. Yeah, I don't have the money that these other people have, but I saw Jim Carrey did an interview yesterday. He's retiring. He's and he said he has enough, and that's how I feel. I don't come from a place of the work I do is not about the money I make now. It's really about putting out good work.
Good. Well, we appreciate you guys for joining us. Thank you so much.
Well, I do want to ask one more question. Well, two more. Do talk show hosts reach out to you to get tips? No?
They did. I'll tell you, Rosie and Ellen both called me before they went and did their shows because they wanted to know what the schedule was like, how it worked. Not late, not of late. I've been off the air. I haven't done my show in so long, but I feel like I do have some good pointers. And I would say the main thing is to be a good listener. That's, I think that's what I was best at, is reacting to what I was seeing. I didn't wear an IFB, and that's something they fought me on every year. They just wanted, the control room and the producers wanted to have access to me, and I didn't want anyone ever putting anything in my mouth, So I would have cue cards if they needed me, but I refused to have an IFB. So I just love that. Yes, that show back then, I didn't really know who I was, but I was in the moment and present and tried to be kind and tried to have some fun and do some good.
I got one more question. Take a sip of water.
Yeah.
Just in case. How does Ricky Lake want to be remembered?
My goodness. Has a good time. I'm a good time. I am.
That's what you want on the tombstone?
Yeah, I mean,
Ricky Lake,
well,
she was a good time.
I want my legacy. Like it makes me happiest when people recognize me and know my work from the work I do with Abby, The Business of Being Born. These documentaries, I believe, are changing the world, making the world a better place, and they're the most personal projects, and they take a lot of work, a lot of effort, and I'm really proud of them.
You have shifted some culture.
Yes, we have. We have.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you
Ricky
so
Lake,
much.
Abby, thank you so much.
Where can the documentaries be seen?
Yeah.
Yes, we're streaming. You can pre-order now at thebusinessofbirthcontrol.com.
We're self-releasing it. So we don't have a big studio behind us. You just go to thebusinessofbirthcontrol.com, and it's going to be streaming April 8th.
All right.
And the Ricky Lake Raised by Ricky podcast?
Starting October 2022.
Available everywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yep. Exactly.
All righty. Well,
Thank
it's the Breakfast
you.
Club. Thank you, Ricky Lake. Thank you, Abby. Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. You got a positive note for the people?
My positive note comes from Mr. Don Miguel Ruiz, who I love. He's an author I love, author of the 4 Agreements, 5th Agreements, Mastery of Self, bunch of great titles. But he has a quote where he says, "Death is not the biggest fear we have. Our biggest fear is taking the risk to be alive, the risk to be alive and express what we really are." Go live today, people.
Breakfast Club, bitches!
Y'all finished or y'all done?